Bruchim Abayim, welcome to the Chassidische Farbringen Kinnis Esaidus. Leil Nishmes, our beloved Mother Aser and Chavra Bezdin Tzedek, Hagoyin HaChosid, Harav Aron Yaakov, and Harav Mordechai Leo. We're trying to get together in times when everyone is confined in their own homes. It brings to mind the story of a Yid I heard from the Baal HaMaisa, who asked the Rebbe to be Messiah the Kedushin. It was after the Rebbe stopped being Messiah the Kedushin for people. And the Rebbe told him, Bechlal is Siddur Kedushin Shaykh zu Rabbanim. Nor was then, als mit der Führung zu der Chuppe sollst mir mit dir sein. Und als du wirst mir mit dir sein, will ich trachten wegen dir. Und als ich will trachten wegen dir, ist er sehr wie ich bin dort und da mit dir zusammen, ich gebe dir meine Brachas. Und in Ruchnis ist man und Mokim nicht mafsik. The Rebbe's message is that Beruchnis, time and place is not the separation, and in the confinement of our own home we can be together as Chassidim by Chassidische Farbringen. Pesachim mit Var Malchus, we begin with a part of a Sikha of the Rebbe, Matzah Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Truma, Beis, Adar, Tafshir Mem Ches.
Was einmal hat gedacht, bei Wohnen und zusammen mit Aron soll zu sich mitnehmen am Maschpia. Was ist bei dem ist die Linie, was bleibt nicht mit der Tero, mit der Halacha, der Meistersche Bose, und bei dem Maschpia, was bleibt nicht erzählen mit der Halacha, der Meistersche Bose. Schaß wird auch sagen, die Babische Rabbanen, haben sie sich beide Sachen bejachen. Wie sie noch nicht mal, das wird eine Ziel. Und wenn du an der Gehen zu Lagbeme, aber Chatzti war nie Erdbau, aber Pschimen bei Jechoi hat genommen in der Chitze, zwischen Nimis Atere, Niste de Tere, und Nigle de Tero.
As we heard in the Sikha, the Rebbe describes what a Chassidish Rav is. The bringing together of Halacha and Chassidus, bringing it together in one unified way. The Machatzli Vani Erpa. We saw this in Rabbi Schwei as a true Chassidische Rav. His Ptira was on Lamed Nissen, the spirit of Chesed Shebi Tiferes. Tiferes, says the Gemara, is Matan Torah. Tiferes is Torah, Tiferes is beauty. It's bringing together the Chesed and the Gvura, and our Shvei did it in a way of Chesed through kindness, with loving kindness to everyone who he was in touch with. The Tiferes of our Shvei, the blending of being a Mashpia and a Rav, a Goyin in Nigla and a Goyin in Chassidus, and a Goyin in Midas Tevis. True Tiferes. We'll now ask the Mother Aser and Chavra Bezdin Tzedek, the Shchune, a Goyin HaChassid, Harav Avram Azda Bashlita, to address this kindness.
In der Matze, wo sie stehen jetzt, ist verstandig, das schwer zu reden. Die Dua, als Bachside machen nicht keine Speden. Die Mevur in Kamer Mechtoven von der Munkatsche. Meili will mir übergeben eine Kude. Überhaupt handelt wegen der Nifte, was ich wenn der Rabbi Schwei, was kennt auf seiner Meilis Tev auf der Schwei. Es geht mit Kirch HaZibur, es geht mit dem und helfen der Zibur, was sie darf. Die Gemara sagt im Sechte Teines, wir gageln Schuss, die der Zakai, wir geben wir ihm Chayev. Das ist eine andere Werte, als man halt in der Matze von Hepech als Schuss, im Zakai, dat de Matze was schon. Ist da einen, als mit diesem Zakel wie im Chayev, wo steht, Mummes in der Posik, wo eine Eise bei ihm zu Rossi, hier Modi bei ihm der Hashem Achti. Als der Ebischte empfet bei ihm zu Rossi, und ist gegangen mit mir auf dem Berg, wo ich gehe. Sie ist ein andere Werte, als darf gebieren zu Rossi. Ich bete mit dem Eibestehen, will gehen mit mir. Sie mir vor, auf dem Posting haben das sehr Milch mit David. Die Gemara sagt in Psochim, Wie kann das sein als ein Mismer? Ein Mismer und der Mismer wird werden Hepech erinnern. Von Semiris heißt das. Sagt der Gemara dort, als der Semiris ist, als mit Gret zu dem Eibischten, mit Betten mal bei Koscher, und noch mit Betten für sich weit. Sagt der Loschen der Gemara dort, als Zanaf Gemina zu Breg, mit der zu am Melech Bosse Vedom, zu am Melech, wie man sagt, Melech Machim Mochim. Geschaß mit der zu am Melech Bosse Vedom, ist mit der Zeich, mit die Wind über er darf uns helfen mit den Folgen, ist eines von Melech. Maar als je één keer am Red mit dem Eibischten, a viele mit dem Zeich, Fuße mehr. Der Ewigste ist zufrieden als bereit und mit Bett, aber viel mit der Zeich. Yamcha Hashem b'yem Tzora. Also ich sage in Tillam, Tafki Tzora, ich doy Shesh Yeshua. Al derech wie es der bekannte Postik von Nochum, bei Sokem, Apayim Tzora. Sie genug? Und wir darf nicht haben mehr wie das. Das Bett mit dem Eibischten und das heißt, der heintige Nifte, der Rauf in der Schuene, was hat der Kirche hat Ziba, beten bei dem Eibischten, Yishlach Ezech und Mikedisch. Aber so haben wir 11, der Mokken Kodesh, von dem Eibischten. Und wir so kennen, wie man sagt, weiter, was steht in Tillam. Reine Bishua Secha, Yimal Hashem Mishal Secha, wir rennen nur mit beiden sein zufrieden. Der Eibischte will sein zufrieden, wir will sein zufrieden, aber wir können führen der Schunde, wie sie darf zu sein. Aber jeden will können gehen in Beis Medisch, in Yeshivas und lernen, die die Boi, wird der Eibischte haben wir noch, versteht so, und die Isen haben wir noch. Wenn wir rennen, wie ich sagen, wir wollen beide zusammen haben, des Schuss, wir kennen Zmiris. Das ist Zmiris, was man sagt, als Yishlach, als Ezech Mikedisch. Und man erzählt, Mizbel David, als vieles Handelswegen, am Mokke bei Eufen, wo es Hepech, als Simcha, aber durch dem, wo es mit Erzähl sein, mit Betten bei dem Eibischten, also uns helfen, und mit Erzähl sein, wer ist Hashem Yisbarach, wird sein eine von Semiris. Und der Eibischte wird als die Loschen der Gemorre Psochim, als der Eibischte ist, aber viele müssen erzählen, und deswegen ist so mehr. Der Eibischte soll helfen, als steht im Sof von der Kapitel, Hashem Meshia Melech Yalnei Yem Kareno, als Chus Rabim. Das ist die Gehe zu der Schune. Weil Sokem Apayim Otzara. Mit Meila wird helfen, der Eibischte zu sein. Mal Hashem Mishal Secha. Und der Eibischte soll helfen, der Nifte soll sein mehr Tev auf der ganze Besprache. Der eine der Kietze, der eine Shechen Ofan, wo Besecham, Kal Israel. Soll alle sicher sein zu der Gule Schleimer. At the Mashiach Tzidkenu, Rabbeinu, Roshenu.
Shikoyach Harav Azdeba, I want to wish him, Arichas Yanim Mishanim Tevis, and Yarich Yomam HaMamlachte, in Firin de Kehillah, together with our Rabbi Schwei, Arichas Yanim Mishanim Tevis. We'll now ask from Agoyin HaChassid, Rav Yosef Yishai Brain, Marad Asen and Chavar Abazim Tzedek of the Shchuna, to address this Kiddush Seidus. Harav Brain.
The Gemara tells us in the Sichta Ma'id Katan that when Rav Huna passed away and they tried to carry the Mita, his bed, through the door, the bed wouldn't fit through the door. Saver, l'shal shule derech gagim, they had a thought, maybe we're going to try to take him through the roof. But they were told this is unacceptable, this is against halacha, chacham kvoidei derech Pesach, the honor, the respect for a chacham is to take him through the door and not through the roof. As he couldn't fit through the door, savar l'shenuya mipiria lepuria. They thought of maybe transferring him from one bed to another bed to a narrower bed which will fit through the door. And to this too the response was, chacham kvoidei b'mitar rishoyna, the respect for a Talmud Chacham is to take him with the original bed, the one he passed away in. And faced with no other choice, the Gemara tells us they broke the door to allow the bed to fit through. Now obviously this Gemara isn't merely a tale, an episode, a story which has no relevance to our lives. There must be a deeper significance in this particular story. And the message alluded to over here is that it's important to take the life of a Talmud Chacham and take him through the door and bring him to the Reshus HaRabim and to the public eye so they should have an understanding of what the Talmud Chacham is about. The life of the Talmud Chacham is supposed to have relevance and meaning and significance to the Amcha that is standing on the other side of the door. And yet the Chacham cannot fit through the door. He's way beyond the perception and understanding of the people on the other side of the door in the Reshus HaRabim in the public thoroughfare. So one approach that sometimes is considered is derech gagim. Let's talk superficial stuff, lofty concepts, use oratory skills, and talk what we call makif, things that don't have much relevance to us, and talk in very general terms. Says the Gemara, this is disrespectful to the Talmud Chacham. It's important to take the Talmud Chacham through the door and make a bridge between him and us. Another approach that sometimes is done, l'shenuya mipuria lepuria, moving from one bed to another, transport the ideas of the Talmud Chacham, which is living in the ancient generation, and make it contemporary, relevant, meaningful, but use a different language. Try to translate. Try to move him from one bed, from one position to another position, and make him something which he really isn't. Zog the Gemara, Chacham kvoidei b'mitar rishoyna, the respect for a Talmud Chacham is when we talk the original language and we discuss him as he really is. So what choice are we faced with? The only choice is to break the door, to expand our horizons so we should be able to contain space within our minds and hearts to what the Talmud Chacham really is. When faced with the task of discussing Harav Schwei Olav Shalom, we need to be able to open our hearts, break that door, so we should be able to understand how he is significant to our lives. But yet Rabbi Schwei himself has done the job for us. Rabbi Schwei was a bridge between the generation of old, the time of Samarkand, between the world of Lubavitch and our generation living over here in America. He already broke the door for us and taught our generation with the emes and stolzkeit and pride of the chassid of the Rebbe. And at the same time, Vayered min ahar la'am, he made his message meaningful and relevant to everyone over here. The Gemara tells us that a non-Jew came to Shammai Hazak and he asked to convert on one condition, that you teach me the entire Torah as I'm standing on one foot. Shammai Hazaken dachfei ba'amis abinyan. Shammai Hazaken pushed him away with a building rod and told him, this is not acceptable, there's no such thing. He came to Hillel Hazaken and Hillel Hazaken told him, Kol ha-Torah kula, the entire Torah is v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. If you don't do to someone else what you don't want people to do to you, that's all you need to know. The question begs to be asked, Shammai Hazaken, he stands for the idea of heavy makabel kol adam b'seiv panim yafas. That's one of the statements of Shammai Hazaken. Receive each person gracefully with a shining countenance. How could Shammai Hazaken be so mean and disregard an individual and push him away with a building rod? And then Hillel didn't really teach him the entire Torah. Hillel told him about Avos Yisrael. Of course, we know there are many explanations how Avos Yisrael is Kol HaTorah Kula, but he asked to learn the Torah. He wanted to know, what should I do? Teach me Torah. Tell me what to do. And then we need to understand this individual. What was going through his mind? What was he thinking? What kind of strange request is that? Teach me the entire Torah standing on one foot. What he was really saying is, I am not interested in standing on 2 feet. I'm not interested in walking. I want to stand still on 1 foot. I don't want to progress. I want to stand the way I am and don't expect too much of me. I love the beauty of Yiddishkeit, the splendor of Yiddishkeit, the aesthetics of Yiddishkeit, but the nitty-gritty stuff, the technical details, the halachis, the ma'aseh b'poel, the challenges of life, I'm not interested in that. And Shammai Hazaken detected this in the ger and said, such a building cannot be a straight building. Shammai Hazaken used his ruler, his Ames HaBinyan, his building rod. Shammai Hazaken, being a surveyor, said, this building will be crooked, the whole building will fall apart. Yiddishkeit cannot have in itself ziyuf, falsehood, forgery, something which is not authentic. You need to take the entire package. And Hillel HaZaken said there's another approach. Let's appeal to his heart. We'll teach him the message of Ahavta l'reacha kamoicha. If we teach him the hearts von Yiddishkeit, if we open our hearts to him, and we speak the language of the heart, he will become part of Klal Yisrael. Harav Schwei knew the language of the heart. He was able to reach every individual through his expansive heart. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Bava Metzia that Rabbi Bar Chana had a number of workers that worked for him carrying loads, carrying barrels of wine. And in the process, they broke those barrels. Rashi tells us this was a pshia, was done negligently. So Rabbi Bar Chana took their garment, took their cloak, took their jacket. He seized it as payment for his wine. They came to Bezdin, they came to Rav, and they wanted their jacket back. So Bezdin ruled, Havlu Glimayu, give them back their jacket. So Rabbi Bar Chana said, Dina Hacha, this is justice, this is judgment, this is Torah Semes. This is the law. And Rav's response was, in Leman Telech B'derech Tovim Ksiv, the Torah is a Torah which expects of you to be a mensch, to go in the way of Tovim, of good people. Then they had a further complaint. We worked all day schlepping a load. Don't forget, they schlepped a load and they broke it. We are poor people and we want to get paid our salary. We need to be able to support our families. So Rav once again ruled, Zil Havlu Egrayu, you have to pay them their daily salary. So Rabbi Bar Chana questioned, Dina Ach, is this Toiras Emes? Is this true judgment? Is this real justice? And Rav once again said, in va'archai sadikim tishmer, you must guard the paths of the righteous. This isn't only a story in the Gemara, this is a Psak Halach and Shulchan Aruch and Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. The same Torah, which is a Toiras Emes, expects us to have a heart for the needy, for the betrodden, for the victims. The Torah tells us that when we lend someone money and we take a mashkin, a collateral, if he's a poor person, you can't go to sleep while you have his blanket. You need to return it to him, so he should be able to sleep with his blanket. It comes nighttime, return back the mashkin, the collateral. The next morning you could take it back, and so on and so forth, every single night. And the obvious question here is, what kind of mashkin is this? What kind of purpose does this serve? The collateral is there to ensure that the loan will be paid. If he gets it back every single night, what are we accomplishing? But the Torah tells us, "V'hoyo ki yitzak elai v'shamati ki chananoni." When this poor person will cry out to me, you will cry, "Ich will mein Geld amod money." But he will cry, "I don't have a blanket." Zog the Rebbe, you know who I will listen to? I will listen to him, ki chananoni, because I am compassionate. The Rebbe says, I listen to the orphans, to the widows, to those, the nebuchs of society, to the victims of life. Rabbi Schwei had this unusual ability, on the one hand, to listen to every single individual's tzara, and yet at the same time retain the midas ha'emes. Avi rechev Yisrael uparashav. Elisha cried on the passing of Eliyahu Hanavi. Rechev Yisrael, he's the chariot and the wagon of Klal Yisrael. He carries so much on his shoulders. He carries the load of everyone. Rechev Yisrael also, that everybody rides on him, everybody steps on him. He allows himself to be a doormat to everyone. And at the same time, Ufarashav, he's a rider. He's a leader. He's a manig, amiti, a true manig. He stands strong with the emes of halacha. Harav Vartmin of Krishman Shmenesra. Me vart as the Rav zal endigen Hashem lekechem emes und oise sholem bimreimov. Emes v'sholem. And some people have difficulty containing and reconciling these two seemingly opposite characteristics. Im emes kan, is sholem ein kan. If it's true, then it's not peaceful. To believe with integrity in the Torah's emes, in the words of Torah, of Chassidus of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe's Nevuah, and the Rebbe's Psudas HaGeula, a bitachon shalayipul medvarav arza, true is kashrus to the Rebbe, with the Scharfkeit, and Starkheit, and Stolzkeit, and the pride of a true manig, who believes in the emes of Torah will win, and at the same time to be understanding of individuals and to be peaceful and compromising when it comes to bein Adam lachaveroi oise sholem bimroim of huyase sholem aleinu. We've suffered so much over these last few weeks. We've had such an aveda, such a loss, that we can't begin to fathom what's going through over here. Lama asa vaya kacha, why did Hashem do what he did? But yet we are not people that are asking questions. We are chassidim that march further. The Rebbe in Tavshim and Ches taught us when Klal Yisrael suffered this tremendous loss, Adas Chassidim, and the Rebbe Berosham, the Stalkos of the Rebbetzin. The Rebbe channeled the sorrow and the tragedy in the morning into a message of life, into a message of hope, into a message of action. The Rebbe took a phrase from Tanakh and made it into his slogan, to his motto. True life is taking these messages and yitin el liboy, and allowing it to penetrate el liboy to the hearts, allowing our heart to have somewhat of what Rabbi Schwei has taught us. V'achai yitin el liboy is a call to action. May the hava, what has happened, let bygones be bygone. We are now entering a new phase of Avos Yisrael v'Achdus Yisrael. We're going to make sure that Rabbi Schwei's message stands always strong. And the Chas v'Sholem shouldn't be a situation of Chavalal da'avdim v'lo mishtachin. We had a great Rav over here. A Rav who was mishichvoi v'mayla givoi mikolam, heads and shoulders towering above everybody else. A Rav who made an impact not only on our Shchuna, and not only on Adas Chassidim at large, but I would say even on Klal Yisrael. And yet now we're going to continue with our ways, with our drachim, as if nothing ever happened. Chas v'sholem. We will channel this into V'achai Yitin Elibe, making sure that his message is as strong as always and stronger than ever before. We will make sure that this Emunah B'sudas HaGeula, Emunah in Rebbe Zavart, the Hiskashrus to the Rebbe, the Chassidishkeit, the Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasadim, Kulam Ka'echad. He was a giant in every one of those areas. We will make sure that that continues forth based on Al Yisodei Hiskashrus. We will make sure that his message is a reverberating message which continues as much as before and even greater. The Eivishter will provide us with a tremendous nechama, with a nechama in such a way that umacha va'elekim dima ma'al kol panim. So many tears were poured in our shchuna and in the world at large over the last few weeks. There will come a time, take from miyad mamish Yirtzeh Hashem, when all tears will be erased. There will not be such a thing as crying ever again. From now on, there will only be ach tov v'chesed v'simcha tamid kol hayomim. We will enter a phase of simchas olam al rosham. The smile of a Rabbi Schwei that we always knew, such an infectious smile that always illuminated the room when he walked in, that will become a permanent marker over the world at large. Begula hamitzvah v'ashlema v'kitzu v'ranu shoichnei ofar v'hu b'soicham v'hu b'rosham, and he will go be mekabel panim panei Mashiach tzidkeinu d'mrem, and we'll go together. And now let's see in Arza to the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishim Niska Zenzich mit den Reben v'hu yigaleinu, take it from Yad Mamish v'simchas olam al rosham et hanechamas elamim now Mamish.
Shekoyach Harav Brei. We wish him too Yarich Yomim HaMamlachte, Gesundheit and Freilichkeit, and together with the Rav Azdeba, the Bezdin should be a strong Bezdin, to be able to be Mekayim, the Ratzon of the Rebbe, to fear the Kehillah, as Chassidische Rabbanim, bring together Halacha and Chassidus, and to lead the entire Kehillah to be Kabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu, the Rebbe, take it from Yad Mamish. We'll now ask from a Rav Nissen Mangel, a Rav in the Shul, Ksav Sefer here in the Shchuna, a Yidid, from a Rabbi Schwei, a Rav Mangel Tzalangiyar, back in Yeshiva in Montreal, will share with Zichrenis Harav Schwei and Divrei Yisoidus for our Chassidische Farbringen. Harav Mangel.
The Chazal tell us when a person is a nifter, Hashem says to the Malachim, go down and see what people speak about the nifter, with the person. Odam kosher hoya, Odam yosher hoya, Odam emes hoya. If the Malachim hear, the people speak this about the neshama, so the Eibusher says, bring up the neshama and put him in Gan Eden. No doubt, Yaakov Shvei, the Malachim came and they asked, or they heard about the Yaakov Shvei, Odam kosher hoya, Odam yosher hoya, Odam emes hoya, Odam chosid hoya. So where is he now? In Gan Eden Elyon. Let me mention something on a personal note. I came from England in Tovshin Yud Aleph, 1951. I learned in the Shiva in England for 3 years. I came to Montreal, and then I joined the Yeshiva Tamratmimi in Montreal. It was Tovshin Yud Aleph. I think it was Yud Beis, or most likely Yud Gimel. A couple of Bachrim, top-notch Bachrim from Brumwana, came to Montreal. Amongst them were the two brothers, Yankel Schwei and Isaac Schwei. Immediately became very friendly with both of them. I started to learn Bechavrus and Nigle, with Yaakov Schwei. Chassidus I learned with Isaac Schwei. Like this we learned together, Nigle, until I left Montreal in Tovshin Chof Aleph almost 10 years later. We learned together for Smicha, we got Smicha together. Afterwards, when the Rebbe told me I should also get Yodin, we learned Yodin together. And till the last moment, we were Chavrus learning together. And when came the time I should leave Montreal because I got married in New York. So I said to everybody goodbye, including Rabbi Yaakov Schwei. I had a lot of Sforim, so I had to pack up in boxes all these Sforim. So I thought I'll do it myself, and next morning I'm leaving Montreal. Like 11, 12 o'clock at night, suddenly Yaakov Schwei comes into my apartment. I never stayed in the dormitory, in the Pnimiyah, always at my private room. Yaakov appears and says, I came to help you pack the boxes, the Sforim, you should be able to get tomorrow. And we were packing and speaking and chatting. We came middle of the night, we finished all the packing. We said to each other again, goodbye. Both of us said goodbye with tears in our eyes. This was our Chavruse. That's how close we were to each other. When we separated, both had tears in our eyes. A year later, Yankel also got married in New York. She moved to New York. From then on, till he became sick, from which Rachmana litzlan, he passed away. He davened in our shul, in my shul, although at shulim closer to his house, but nevertheless he always davened by us in shul. We verbringt every Shabbos, every Yontev, Yom Pagre, every Shabbos we verbringen, not only Shabbos and Vorchim, verbringen for a few hours. When I had to be out of town, I asked Yankel, sei my mamale mokem, verbring instead of me. And when I came back, always people, the members in the shul, were tremendously inspired from his verbringen. So that a chassidische person, durch und durch. Aron Yaakov Schwei was a godel in Nigle Torah about halacha, about beshas, a lamden, but is also a masculine in Pnimis Torah, and also in Avodas Hashem, as we mentioned before. When he came to our shul, and when I wasn't there and he had to verbring, how he mamish per mapik margolius. In Pnimis Torah, how the oilam had an end from him. What chai yitene liboy. Nowadays, but Rachmana litzlan is also shnei pluktos. We also, Anash, Rachmana litzlan, have this Indian, this one has such opinion, this has such opinion. The Beshama didn't change his opinion. Basil didn't change his opinion. Those who are anti, you can remember anti in Hakshkofe. But it comes to speak and respect and love. There should be Shalom Israel. There should be Dafka for Shalom. And this we have this a tremendous problem nowadays, Rachmana litzlan. And the bigger problem which we have, as the Rebbe cried, 2,000 years in Goles, suffering, tzores, tzrules, advosai. What is the Eitze? Chazal tell us, there's a big machlekes. Eventually, David said, Natschuni, bona natschuni. You can defeat me. I say like this, you can change my mind, and you can defeat me. What is the union as Natschuni, bona natschuni? There's a moritike maimah from Alter Rebbe. At the end of Parshas Noach, the maimah begins, Ato libotzar mehem mikol asher yosbu lasois. In the Doira Flogger, Hashem says, now they can do whatever they want. They don't have to do Torah, mitzvahs, they can act immorally, in whatever way they want. And they get all the ashpoes, begashmius and beruchnius, to the extent Kaviochel Debische can't stop it. So the Alter Rebbe is a mori de kashe. Haytochen, HaKadosh is called Yochel. Hashem can't stop that. How can such a thing be? They can do whatever they want. Hashpoe Gashmis, Hashiris, and Ruchnius, everything what they want through Kishev and so on. Everything in the Hebrew can stop it. So the Alter Rebbe says yes. Why? The Teretz is Hen Am Echot, Besof Achas Lekulam. But there was Achdus. Besof Achas, they spoke one language. There was Achdus and Sholem and respect and covet. The Alter Rebbe says this Achdus is that viele a person, the Alter brings the posik as Chibur Atzabim, Ephraim. Ephraim is attached to Avodah Zorah, Honachloi. Leave him. Even a person does avoid Avodah Zorah, but amongst them is the evil Chibur, Achdus, and Have, evil Atzavim. Even they should be Avodah Zorah. The Alter brings this posik twice in this mimer. They can accomplish everything what they want. Hanach Devisha says, leave them alone. Don't punish them. Give them what they want. So the Alter Rebbe is the same thing in Dora Flogger. The Eibishter had no choice until they made a pillar from the Bilbo for their Shoinus. They couldn't speak each other. And Dora Flogger made a division and animosity amongst them. But as long as one, Am Echot, Sofa Achas, the Botzim Hem, nothing can stop them. Moire vere Beis. We're speaking here by the Siyum from Aron Schwei, Aron Yaakov Schwei. His Aron is Oiv Sholem, Roidev Sholem. He Oiv Sholem for how many years when Harav. He made Sholem Beis. He Sholem between Ishla Chaveroi, v'chuli v'chuli. And this is what Alter Rebbe says. How can we overcome this? Moire dikam Gefa. The Alter Rebbe says, we can, the Eibusher says, Natschuni, Bona Natschuni. You can defeat me. I made this Gzeira, but you can eliminate this Gzeira. How is it? After through Hashem, we don't say that this or the anti should become pro, and the pro should be anti, the two machnois, but at least let's respect each other and have covet for each other and speak to each other, come to the chasam of each other, the symbols of each other. This is Hashem Oislam Yitain V'Sam B'Sholem.
Yeshikoyach Harav Mangel will now ask Harav Yechanan Gerari, the chief rabbi of Cholon in Eretz Yisrael, Chaver Bezdin Abon Chabad in Eretz HaKodesh, to address this Farbringen.
Rabbi Schwei will ich keinmal nicht vergessen. Ich habe gekannt als Sach Jahren. Ich habe gelernt bei ihm in Kita Zayin, Tovshechov Gimel. Wir haben uns der Rebbe ausgelernt im Liegen Stavia Pito und hat es geschrieben auf uns auf dem Blackboard und es uns gelernt im Liegen. Gewann sehr Herzigkeit zu den Kindern. Hat sich übergegeben zu den Kindern Tag und Nacht. Ich habe mit ihm gelernt, privat, zu meinem Bar Mitzvah in Tovshechov Hei. Aber ich gelernt privat bei ihm in Stub, gelernt den Maimer und den Pilpul. Der Maimer hat übergeteilt auf Jiddisch. Der Maimer ist mehr der Stillim. Und das ist der Maimer, was alle haben meint. Ich denke echt, bei ihm in Stub gewesen ein Bild, was hat gemalt wird. Wenn der Rebbe ist rübergekochen in Botanic Garden über den Fans und den Bild habe ich gesehen beim Stub. Wenn sie gewinnen als Sife von der Rabbonim noch Schwues in Kronheitz, alle Rabbonim von der ganzen Welt, ist dem Jahr, was Marlo ist weggegangen, die Sife gewesen bei Marlo in Stub und auf Schwei ist gekommen, noch ältere gewinnen Harav. Und es ist schon Stadt gewesen in der Sife von Rabbonim. Der Rebbe hat geholfen, als geworden, der Hof von Kronheitz, und gewinnt mit Kubel auf dem ganzen Sibo. Der Rebbe soll seiner helfen, also seiner Melitz Yesha, auf alle Chassidei Chabad, sei in Kronheit und sei alle seine Talmidim von der ganzen Welt.
Shkoyach Rav Gurari will now ask Rav Mendel Golochovsky, Maske Bezdei Rabbanei Chabad in Eretz Yisrael, to address the Farbrengen.
We're now finishing the Shiva for Rabbi Schwei Olav Shalom. It's very hard for me to say on Rabbi Schwei Olav Shalom. I had the schus to learn by Rabbi Schwei almost 50 years ago. He was my first Rebbe when I came to New York. I learned by him. I remember Masechta Psochim, and he taught me my first Maimorim in Lekutei Torah. Such a warm individual, warm person. It's interesting that we're finishing the Shiva at the beginning of Parshas Emer, where we know that it says on the fact that Emer and Vamarta, it's redundant. Rashi brings down Lahazer Gedolim Alaktanim, that the older ones have to protect the younger ones and warn them that they should also keep away from becoming Tomei. And the Rebbe, in one of his sichas, says Lahazer is coming from not only to warn, but also Lahazer from the Loshen Zoyer Va'or, to enlighten, to give light, to give zest, enthusiasm. And that it's not enough just to educate somebody, to give chinuch, that you tell them what's right and what's wrong, but the chinuch that you give is a chinuch to enlighten, to give simcha and chayis and his slavus, enthusiasm in avodas Hashem. I must say that that's what I got from Rabbi Schwei when I came to New York. He was my first Chassidish Rebbe in New York. He taught me. When I came, it wasn't the easy time. I didn't have a good command of the language of Yiddish. He had such patience for me. And he took me under his wing. And he would explain to me extra, because I wouldn't understand a lot of times the things that he was teaching because of the language. And he took a special personal interest, like he did all through the years, a personal interest. Somebody that was a Talmud of his, he always kept a personal contact. Whenever he saw me, he asked me how I was doing. I remember also how during the year, he came over to me. I was learning Chavrusa together with Rabbi Yechemil Ben Yominson from Tzivos Hashem. And he came over us and he told us, there's a lot of Talmidim in the class that need extra help. He wants us to give of our time, both of us, to split and to be able to start learning with others that need more, to be able to get them stronger. Sign their learning, and also in the year Shemaim, because he took a personal interest in all of his Talmidim. And I remember also there was a Talmud that came from Argentina that he needed more of assistance, and he asked me to befriend him and to become his Chavrusa too. So through the years, the Yesoidus that I got from the Chassidish Chinuch that he gave me, the first Maimorim Lekutei Torah, and also the Gemara that he taught me. He also had a minig that every Sunday morning we would have a test in Chitas from the previous Parsha. Sunday morning, that's how it started when we learned the Mesifta. He would ask us 12 questions. We would have to pick 10 out of 12. And I remember that year, that was the year that solidified all my foundation of learning Chumash. The learning of the Chumash, the questions that he asked, and the Tayarkeit from Chitas, he gave it to us. He imbued us the Chavivas of Limon Chitas. And through the years when I would come to New York already as a Rov, we would always talk together, sometimes speak things in Halacha, different Shilas, his Yir Shemaim that he had, his Chassidishkeit, and his Iskashrus to the Rebbe. That was always something that stood out in my life when I thought about him always. So Hashem should help. Tell the family, you carry on now. You represent Rabbi Schwei. You represent your father. You represent your grandfather. When you're going to be learning, he's going to be learning. When you're going to be doing mitzvahs, he's going to be doing the mitzvahs. And all of us, as his Talmidim, as we carry on It's in his schus, the chinuch that he gave us. The Eibusher will helfen. It should be v'kitzav aran yishoich ne'ofer. Who besoichem, we should be zoich already that the Rebbe should be revealed and come back to us and take us out of the golus, and it should be b'meher b'meinu mamish.
Shekoyach Harav Goluchovsky will now ask Harav Baruch Beis Yurkovich, Rav Kehilas Lubavitch and Lud Eretz Yisrael to address the Farbringen.
הרב שווי. בזיכרונות שלי, הרב שווי, אני זוכר אותו עוד לפני שהוא התחתן. במונטריאול, כשהוא היה עוד בחור, היה לומד עם האבא שלי, למד ירדיה, ביחד עברו על ירדיה, כווייס נשבוס. אבל מה יש לי להגיד? רבנים, יש הרבה סוגי רבנים. יש רבנים מסקרנים אנחנו לא מדברים. כי רבנים מסקרנים בעיקר זה מסקרנים, ורבנים זה מה שהרבי אומר כל הזמן, שאסור להם לפסוק הלכה אפילו. אבל בואי נדבר על רבנים. ברבנים יש סוגי רבנים. כמו שהאדמו"ר הזקן אומר בהקדומה לתניא, שיש כאלה שנוטים לקו החסד. יש כאלה שנוטים לקו הגבורה. אנחנו מכירים הרבה רבנים שהם אמרו, ואם לא שומעים את המילים שלהם, הם לוחמים וקו הגבורה. יש קו החסד. ויש עוד דבר, סוג רב לגמרי אחרת, שזה החסידיש הרוב, מה שהרבי מדבר על חסידיש הרוב. הוא לא חסד, הוא לא גבורה, הוא, בגלל שיש לו את הביטל, אז כשצריכים חסד, הוא יהיה חסד, כשצריכים גבורה, הוא יהיה גבורה, זה לא, אתה לא יכול להגדיר אותו, כי הוא לא הוא ביטל. וזה הרב שווי. הרב שווי, לא היה אכפת לו שחס ושלום מישהו אמר לו מילה לא טובה, הוא חייך, וכשמישהו הגיע אליו והיה לו בעיות רציניות, אז הוא בכה ביחד עם הבן אדם שסיפר את הבעיות. השמחה שלו היה כשהוא הצליח להשפיע, לגרום שלום בית, זה היה השמחה שלו. כי הוא לא חסד, לא גבורה, הוא חסידיש הרוב, שזה עם ביטל, ביטל, במילא לא זה, הוא רק מה שצריך להיות, מה שצריכים להיות אז. סתם יש שיחה מהרבא, שהרבא מדבר, סיפסי קיין ישמעו דס, הגמרא אומר שאם הרב דומה למלאך הליקים. הרב שואל, מה אומרים לך, תבחור רב שזה דומה למלאך הליקים. כמה מלאכים ראית בחיים שלך? אתה יודע אם הוא דומה למלאך הליקים? או לא מלאך הליקים? ווס רצתו, ווס פרברתו, מה המילים האלה? אז הרב אומר, רב, תאי רבות. אומר, אנחנו יודעים מלאכים, אין להם לא קינא, לא סין, לא תחרות, וכל הדברים האלה. אז אם הרב הוא רב שאין לו לא קנאה ולא תחרות, זה דומה למלאך הליקים. וזה לחזור מי, כן? לחזור מי שצריכים, החייתן אסליבי. הקדוש ברוך הוא זיקה לקראון הייטס, שיהיה להם חסידיש הרוב, הרוב עם ביטל, איבר גגמקייט, הרוב שהוא בעצמו, החסידיש הרוב. החסידיש הרוב meint הרוב עם ביטל. הרוב was כן ausgießen der Herz, sagen ein Kapitel Tilim. ואausgießen der Herz zu dem Ebersten, wie אכפת לו, ויש לו, was soll ich sagen, אנחנו גם, אבל החייתן אסליבי, מדף sich lernen, שצריכי, דף sich lernen, כל עיקר החסידס הוא ביטל היש. כל עיקר החסידס הוא דוס דריגן. במילא אומר זה חסך zu lernen von רב שווי. אני אומר על שווי, זהו כמו שוויסי הווי לנגד יסומד הזה ודיבר שם טוב וגזוק, שוויסי הכל בשווה, הזה, זה שווי. ככה הייתי אומר כל הזמן. אז היד, was alles ist שווה. בר שם טוב, עבוד von בר שם טוב, נו שוויסי זה מלושן שווה. אז alles, als eines verbunden mit dem Eberschen, ist alles dieselbe Sache. Der Eberschen geben, soll uns Menachem sein, Stamm von die alle Zores, was sie verhandeln, Agam, שזה חבל משיח, was das ist, אנחנו כן מבינים, לא מבינים, aber der Eberschen darf so sein, בחסד וברחמים, und שיגיד, soll schön sein, die Isgalus Melech HaMashiach, בעיני בוסר.
Shekoyach Harav Yurkevich will now ask Harav Beryl Lazar, the Rav Haroshi of Russia, to address the Farbrengen.
As a young bacher, I came to New York to learn National Parkway from Italy, and from my first memories was actually joining Rabbi Schwei's class as a teacher in National Parkway. And I must say that I remember till today his yachas to every one of the Talmidim, maybe even especially to those that came from abroad, those that didn't really have too much of a family when they were there in yeshiva. You Poshet felt like somebody that really cared for you, cared for your gashmis, for your ruchnius. I remember when Bochum didn't feel well, different situations when Bochum were hungry, he always made sure to really stand on the side of the Bochum and try to help them. One of the most amazing memories that I have is the Farbrengen that he used to have every year on Chol Hamoed Pesach. I don't remember right now what was the reason, but I do remember that I was in New York alone because I wanted to be by the Rebbe for Pesach. And all of a sudden on Chol Hamoed we knew that we have a special Farbrengen. He used to bring bananas, oranges, wine, and we used to sit in 770 Montgomery and Farbrengen with us and talk to us and teach us nigunim and stories. You push it, the feeling was that somebody knew that Chol Hamoed Bochrim really don't have much what to do, so he's going to give us some attention. And I never saw such a thing ever again. Normally people ben azmanim, so ben azmanim is the time that, the Rosh Hashivas, the Magid Shiurim, that's when they're with their family, that's when they can rest. And he made sure to give us the attention and the warmth that those Farbrengens gave. Later, of course, when he became Rav in the Shchuna, very often we used to talk. Again, he wanted to know how's everything, how am I doing, the shlichus, the family. So I always felt a special warmth coming out of him, an incredible lesson of how, number one, you should really care for the Bochrim, not only when they are in yeshiva, not only when you are in yeshiva, but also what makes the most impression is what you do when you're outside the Kesle yeshiva, and also to continue the kesher later on, when you're ready on shlichus, continue having a kesher with the Talmidim, the warrior Talmidim, being me'eded them, finding out what they're doing. And that's probably the biggest nachas that he had, seeing his Talmidim, Berach v'Tevel, continuing the shlichus of the Rebbe, and hopefully being Mekar of the Geula. He for sure always had a desire and real rotzen. There should be achdus between the Chassidim. So I think that the best thing we can do today to bring nachas ruach to the neshama is really to be me'ached the keiches, to bring as much achdus as we can between us, to be mekar of the levavis, to find ways to reach out to someone and show him how much we really care for him. And this achdus will surely be mekar of the geula even more, and we should be zeicher already today to vakitzu v'ranu sheikh ne'ofar v'hu b'seichem.
Yeshikoyach Harav Lazar, as we hear from the Rabbanim about the memories of Rav Schwei, the Edelkeit, the Im Halichos, the Ishalim, trying to bring together Ben Adam Lachaveda Ben Ish Ishtay, bringing Achdus, and to the big Yisraelis that there is, that there should be Achdus B'Seichei Anash. we find ourselves in Sfiras Ha'emen in a time that we have to increase in Avos Yisrael and Achdus Yisrael. The Rebbe told us that Avos Yisrael is what bring about the Geula. We're in a time that we scream and we beg, Ad Mosai, enough tzaris. We need to strengthen our Achdus, strengthen our Avos Yisrael. The Sicha Pashas Matas Masi Tavshin and Allah, the Rebbe said, not just that we should have. We don't need Achdus Yisrael as Bittul HaGalus, as a reason to take away the Galus, but Achdus Yisrael as a taste for the Geula. That we should start living the way we'll live in the Geula with true unity, the revealing our neshama and this spirit of Achdus Be'ezer Hashem. And Rabbi Schwei, there'll be a Chassidish of bringing uniting goal of Anash, especially Teshuvah Shchunas Karnait this Thursday night at Pesach Sheni. Talking about Rabbi Schwei and his dedication to the Kehillah, his work in Chinuch as a mashpia before becoming a Rav. We cannot not mention the dedication of his family, starting from his Rebbetzin, so sie sein gesund und stark, like ich es jammer mich an Tevis. As the Isha Ksheida is to the Tzayin Baila, she supported Rabbi Schwei in all his Avedas HaKodesh, especially the last 17 years. His dedication to the Kehillah, l'kol echad ve'echad, to every individual. So the schuz ir beistehen and beistehen the ganze Mishpacha to be benched with all that they need. Arichas Yanim Mishanim Tevis, Gesundheit and Freilichkeit, v'techachava, and take it from a Yad Mamish, which is Zeichet HaKitzu v'ran l'sheich ne'afar, v'hu b'seichem u'bereisham. We'll now ask, Harav Schwei's son, Rav Yosef Schwei, like his father, he's both a mechanech and a Rav, a shliach, in Luton, England, to address this Chassidish Farbrengen.
I'm going to speak in Yiddish and in English. First of all, on behalf of the family, I would like to thank the members of Atzola in Shchunas HaMelech Kan Tziva Vayis HaBrocha for all the dedicated work and help to my parents. Particular thanks to Yossi Friedman. I would like to wish my mother Arichas Yamim V'Shanim Toves. I would like to thank all the organizers and the participants of tonight's Farbrengen. The Tat is given a bar peil, a man of action. Ich gedenk, es gekommen zu mir mit bei 30 Jahren zurück und ich beten reden bei mir in Schul Shabbos. Hat mir gesagt, wird nur reden, bis von a Beginn, bis von meiste Peil, das mit kein Mannen. Ich wollte wissen, was ich Mann von der Elam. Stammen sie reden, hat nicht gewollt. Ich habe gehört von dem, dass ich ihn bewusst, wenn der Rebbe ist Risiko gemeint von Chassidim zu gehen auf Schliches in den ersten Jahren, hat meine Tate geschrieben zum Rebbe, er ist gerät zu fahren, will fahren auf Schliches. Da hat ihm der Rebbe gesagt, du bist doch ein Schliach da. Was ist ein Schliach? Steht in der Jemiem Nächten, als man tut, ist man mit Kusche, in Hals. Es geht der Schliach, esst der Schliach, schläft der Schliach. Mein Tat ist ein praktischer Mensch, verrückten Sachen in der Heim. Aber in was ist gelegen? Kolin Joni ist gewinn, helfen jeden Avos Yisrael und lernen Teure. Man gedenkt sich nicht, als sie einmal sitzen, als sie stamm ledig, abruhen sich und reden stamm Sachen, zeigen, dass sie gewinnen zu helfen mit dem, wenn man gerät. Ich gedenke, also wie alle Kinder, junge Kinder, sie wollen, als die Älteren sollen sitzen bei sich im Zimmer, wenn sie gehen schlafen. Ich frage meine Taten, Efter kannst du kommen lernen bei mir in Zimmer. Ich habe nicht gesagt, kannst du kommen sitzen bei mir in Zimmer. Bei mir ist es auch gelegt, als der Tate sitzt und lernt. Das ist unser Chinuch. Vielleicht mit mir lernen jeden Tag mit Schneis. Einen Tag sage ich ihm, als Efter nicht heint. Ich habe gewollt, spielen sie mit meinen Chaverim. Und dem kommenden Tag habe ich ihm gesagt, dasselbe Sache. Hat er Tag getan und mir gesagt, von jetzt an, ich will bei dir nicht fragen, du willst lernen. Du willst kommen zu mir, wenn du willst lernen. Du willst, ich soll mit dir lernen. Ich habe gleich getan, was tut sich. Und ich habe gleich gefragt, Tate, ich kann mir heim lernen. My father taught us that you need to be mechanech in a way of a living example that we should want to do it ourselves. A little episode when I took my 2-year-old child, when I came to visit him, and the 2-year-old, like all 2-year-olds, he threw the yarmulke off, and I was actually a bit embarrassed. So I put the yarmulke back on. The 2-year-old takes it off. I put it back on. My father told me, you must never fight with a 2-year-old about the yarmulke. They need to grow up to want to do it themselves. I would like to speak about his Ahavas Yisrael. After all, that was the golden thread that weave through all the stories and memories is his warmth and patience in Ahavas Yisrael. I saw this when I was a young child. One afternoon he was davening mincha in shul. He was wearing his tie instead of a gartel, which looked a bit strange to me because my father would usually not forget his gartel. So I was going to ask him what happened today, that you forgot your gartel, and as I walked over to him, I saw somebody else coming to him, handing him the gartel and thanking him. So I realized right away that my father gave this other person the gartel and he took his tie. This was in the days that he was wearing it. He used to wear a tie until he was told that the Rebbe doesn't want mechanchim to wear tie. To wear a tie. I asked him, why didn't you give him your tie and you should wear the gartel? After all, he's the one that left his gartel behind. This is before they had gartel gemacht. So he told me, what don't you understand? The gartel to be chassidim, to be mahader, of course. But helping another yid who doesn't have a gartel is a mitzvah siman atayra. I have to lerech kamecha. So which one do I have to be more mahader in? That story epitomizes his understanding of the Vart from the Baal Shem Tov. For 70, 80 years, and a neshama wears and tears just to do a favor for another. It's not just one favor. The way he lived his life was that every moment of the 70, 80 plus years was saturated and focused just to do a favor for others. May his devotion and Ahavas Yisrael spread even faster and stronger than the spread of the virus. May it bring these galus malkeinu m'shichenu miyad mamish.
Shekayach Rabbi Schwei will now ask Rabbi Schwei, who always stood to the right-hand side of his father whenever he needed to go somewhere, giving him a ride to the office, from the office to Misad Kedushin, or whatever it may be, assisting the Kehillah, and the Kehillah is dankbar to him and again to the entire Mishpacha for all that they have done for us, giving us in such a devoted way the Rav to be able to serve the Kehillah. We'll ask Rabbi Schwei to share a few words at this Chassidish Fabringen.
In the Rambam, what was learned during last week, it means during Shiva. I was sitting Shiva, but what Klal Yisrael learned last week was on Tuesday. In the Perek Yudal Halacha Yud, the Rambam says that workmen are permitted to decide between them that one person, that like two workmen, there isn't enough for both of them to work in the same day, that one person shouldn't do in the day what his friend is working. And whoever will go on against this night, the other person will punish him so kach v'kach. B'medvar mamurim, when could the next halacha? B'medvar mamurim, when is it talking about they can make such a decision? In a medina she'ein ba chacham chashuv l'sakein ma'aseh hamedina u'lahatzliach darkei yeshveha. In a medina where there isn't chashuv and chacham, what was appointed to be misakein ma'aseh hamedina,
to fix the ma'asem of the Medina, and to be matzliach and latzliach to make succeed the ways of those who are there. But if there is a chacham chashiv, then their condition doesn't help, and whoever hurts his friend has to pay. So it's talking about the Marad Asra. What they think of a Marad Asra is l'sakein ma'aseh hamedina u'lahatzliach darkei yeshveh. And Hashgacha Pratis, the same halacha was learned by Dachtaris Lengere of Rabbi Brian Gesund on the early Yud Beis Shvat that year. It was learned the same halacha. Now I wanted to suggest to people what people could do Ilu Nishmas. My father, two things. First of all, mein Tata hat sich gekocht in was Shmuel Anavi hat gesagt zu Shaul HaMelech, Halo Shmoya Mizevach Tev. Pashat folgen. So all I heard, like my father told people, I'm a practical hayrais. I'll ask whoever got these hayrais, or whoever from my father should push it and should push it to listen to the hayrais, what my father said, and in this case, for any Rav told person, so the Ilu Nishmas to do BSSAs with more to be mahader and follow Rabbanim. Next thing is what my father had a talent in Machin Shalom, in Adam Lachavedev, in Ish Le'ishdei. So someone would like to do something Ilu Nishmas. Whoever has a grudge on someone, what the Rebbe said once by Fabrengen, no hard feelings. And then Shalom, Ilu Nishmas, to make sure to be no hard feelings, and to give and forgive, to do that Ilu Nishmas. And then Shalom HaYisrael, Da'at Ala Gesund and Mashiach now.
Yeshakayach Harav Mordechai, and once again we want to wish the entire family Ach Toiv V'Chesed Yirefu Kol Yimei Chayim Nor Braches Yeshuas V'Nechames, and the größte Brache and the einzige Yeshua Nechama waiting for Geula Amitis V'Ashlema. We heard from the Rabbanim and the Bnei HaMishpacha a little glimpse into the life of Rabbi Schwei. In those short few days, the Ma'argedim tried to collect memories, reflections, impressions from Talmidim, Shluchim, Anash, of the life of Rabbi Schwei as Mechanich in Bedford and Dean, and Ocean Parkway in Chaim Ve'Teira, later as Arshpi in the Shchuna, until the last 17 years as Rav and Marad Asra here in the Shchuna. He assisted not only the Teishvei Shchuna with Mesira and Nesina, with patience, giving everyone, from Gadosh Rebekdeil to Ktanish Rebektanim, everyone, the proper devotion, attention, and care, but also many shluchim from around the world have had an open ear, asking questions and halacha advice and guidance from Rabbi Schwei. The following is a short collection of these memories. They could not incorporate all videos and memories that were sent in. The Mishpacha asks to continue to send in zichrenis and anecdotes, whether it is in writing, in recording, or videos, that they should be able to be a te'elis for the Mishpacha and for Kahal Chasidim and for the Shchuna and for Klal Yisrael. Please see here on the website haravshvei.com for the email address to send in any of the zichrenis. The point of these memories is not just to remember what happened in the past, but like the Rebbe emphasized many times, that the living should take to heart, that this should be an inspiration and direction for us in our life. I must say that helping out a little in collecting these videos and hearing the stories about Rabbi Schwei, putting together these little bits about this giant person, had an impact on my life for the past few days. Everyone today is a mechanech, is a teacher, a principal with the children all at home, and bechlal that we're stuck in the house for such a long time. It's not easy. Hearing about Harav Schwei's patience, dedication to each individual, gave me the past few days more koyach to be more patient with my children and my family. And let us all take this also to heart, to add in our Avos Yisrael and Achdus Yisrael, our patience and dedication to each and every Chassid Yid. And for sure, B'nai Mishpacha, and should bring the Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad.
Der Loschen von Chazal, Chaval al de Avdin, habe auch gehört zu einer Chassid, der alle Teils von Loschen geheben, heich, Meile. Alle, als sie werden verloren, die was an Isha Meile, was Rabbi Yanki, weil was Sholem, die gewinnen, Isha Meile, Isha Eschkelis. Gut, seine Chassidishkeit und sein Landes, ist gewinnen, Ish, was ist gewinnen, warme zu jedem mit Abbas Israel, mit dem Gefühl. Ich habe das Gefühl speziell, kann sein mit dem, was gehabt der Scheiches, weil mein Tata war schon in der Zeit von der Zweiten Weltkrieg, die du als Sipur alle wissen mit dem. Rabbi Yanki, das Bruder, der Weisekal war schon, hat das geschrieben, der Agdoma, viele von seinen Sefer, dass der Tate meiner hat gefahren in einer Städte, dort hat kennt, Leben durch Harav, und hat sie gebracht, also der erzählende Meister einzig weiß, in Samarkand in Shiva, der Banken gewinnt nach Gora, ein kleiner Ringel. Alle, du hast sie vorbei, aber die Neuigkeit, was ich gefühlt von dem, ich lebe, das ist nicht nur mit dem allein, weil gewinnt, als ich beätzen zu allem, wenn er gewinnt, warm und neu und das Gefühl. Und der Verbringen ist einer, was wird in 770, hat auch gefühlt eine chassidische Warmkeit, also eine Meise von der Siedlung von alten Chassidim. Und das, was hat sich gekocht stark in der Reminen von Moschiach Geule, Mama, so wie die junge Chassidim. Und an dem Koch hat reingegeben in uns Eichet, Achais, was sicher hat es ein Reichem auf später Eichet und Rebisch hat gegeben, als der Koch Moschiach Geule soll in das Kaim werden, mit Kuyen werden, die Pschuti, es soll sein, der Geule Schleime, Kitzu Brana Schichne Offer, wie Hube Seicham, was Tzadikim kommen will Alter, was sicher, ist Rabbi Yanki, kann reingehen, dann klaufen Tzadikim sicher. Und der Rebisch hat gegeben, also sein, Kitzu Brana Schichne Offer, Hube Seicham, bekorb Mamesh, Begeule, Hamitis, war Schleima.
Mit meinen besten Sorgen nach Perverte, wegen Rabbi Yanki, mein Schaffen zu leben, und da Sorgen nach Perverte, für Rabbi Yanki, wenn der Lebe die Kerit, es wird vorbeigehen, mein Stuhl, alle Tag und Tag in den 1000 Filmen hin und zurück, und alle hatten mir Appelle. Ich bin schwach und geschleppt, wir haben alle Kieden. Wir haben nie gelassen, 1000 Filmen in Stuhl, mit getragen, die bekommen, die Zumschule und Grundschule, im Malen ist Paul geworden davon. Ich glaube, in der Kirche mit den Schwesen noch von Rabbi Schwei, Alba Shalom. Ich sage gerne, Eben bei Chaikel Chanin, in meiner jungen Jungen gewohnt bei Machassene. Und alle Jahre gehabt der Kirche. Fein kommt sie in den Stub und reden, als sagt, jeden Mal so gekommen in Shiva, in den Stub. Wenn eine spezielle Ried. Also ich weiß, aber er hat schon mal gesagt, ich habe folgende Sachen bei Beis, hat der gleiche Kopf. Und nach viele Gewinn nicht gesund. Hat geschrieben, der Rebbe hat gebeten schreiben, der Mokre von dem Namen Muschke, das ist abgedruckt durch Rabbi Yanki, den Sefer. Und ich habe geschrieben, der Mikve gab in Mikve. Ich bin nicht gesund, geholfen schon bei Gansburg, wir sind mit Privatinionen, ein Schwager, weil der Rebbe hat gewollt, der Rebbe gewinnt bekescht, und gesehen sein gleicher Kopf und seine Starkheit. Und seine Edelkeit, wenn es kommt zum Rebbe, sie innen, die gewinnt sehr stark. Ich habe Rabbi Schwei, und er hat kommen von der Druckerei, für 1,77, und er hat überguckt ins Forum, wie gesagt, er hat der protestantische Kopf, wenn er sehr edler Eid. Als ich weiß, wenn er hat Kinder, da hat sich einmal gehört, wenn Mama gefällt, man braucht ein paar Schalen, ein paar Kinder, der Rebbe hat was man käme nicht geprägt. Hat er geantwortet, der Rebbe hat nicht Kinder, wie kann er reden, der Rebbe bei Kindern, hat mehr beim Rebbe, einer von Agnes Nefesh. Hat kann man Maße gewinnen, der Rebbe kann fragen alles, und er gefragt, und er hat Baruch Hashem ein paar Kinder nach. Ich komme zu Rabbi Yanki, was er gewann, Gora Edelid, und er gerotene Ried, ich denke mir, wir haben in Bedford, ich meine, durch den Parkway, in alle Unionen. Und später, in der Gora edele Eid. Später sie gewinnen Robert, sag mal, mit mir red Sachen, mich kennt verleiden, mich kennt verstehen, wie Eid kann sagen, von Aron zu emessen. Mich kennt glauben, ein Mensch soll machen, ein Fett niedermachen mit Nefesh. Also edele Eid so gewinnen. Und gewinnen Eid gegeben zu sein, vergangen besprochen, zu den Kindern, das ich sein ganzes Leben, und zu den Kehillen, und jeder Mensch gab das zerbrochene Hart. Wir hatten eine Adresse, um auszureden beim Hart. Da gewinnt eine stille Rede, ich habe mal gesagt, eine Drosche, als ich wende die Kurach zwischen Dibur und Schweigen, und was ist Hecher? Und Schweigen gebracht an der Reihe, ein Schweigende Hecher. Und Reden hat gebracht an Reihe, ein Redende Hecher. Peter hat mir gesagt, als viele Reden, die Meinung mit Schweigen darf nicht sein in Dibur. Das ich gewinnt, bei Rabbi Yankiv, ich gewinnt bei Äpfel nicht Redner, aber ich gedacht, Reden zu gerät und interessant, mit Sipurim, mit Meises, und bei Kindern, für ältere Winkel, ich habe Malke mit Kindern. Ich habe für Mama gerät, schöne, geschmackliche Sachen, aber mit den Job erwägen von ihm. So, wer ist zu helfen, seine gute Bette, für sein ganzes, für andere, ich gehe nach Europa, für ganz Anasch, und für seine Kuhn, die Kinder, und die Kinder abheben, die Mama, was Rabbi Yankiv allemaal abgeht in der Covid, und die Kinder abgeben Covid. Und ich verstehe nicht, was meint in Almane, und nicht im Mesa dabei, soll der Sache, in Amman, Hilfe son, für die Närste sollen alle Kinder abgeben, der Herre zu den Mannen, und sein Bekeschen mit alle Tage, mit Chazir sein ihr, und so sollen alle tanzen zu mich hier, sie kennen zusammen. Es ist schwer zu reden, wegen dem zu einer zu sagen, die Meile, die alle Meister, die getroffen sein Mama bei den Tränen, was alles bewusst zu allem, und die Covid, was begeben zu sein Mama, was alle Kinder begeben zu den Mama. Ich denke allein, dass in Gehe, wenn wir schon nicht gesund, und sagen, ich stand 19 Reben verbringen, wir haben es einmal getanzt, und ich habe gesagt, pur Schleime, aber schon Bühne, mitten tanzen, da kam es mir gesagt, pur Schleime, aber schon Bühne. In Meile, dieselbe Sache ist, Rabbi Yankiv, der gewinnt, die Ängste von den Brüdern, für alle gewinnt, kommen mal Husen, kommen Berühren, kommen Gebären, sagt er, der Tate gewinnt, das ist alle, also Eberschlafen hat seine gute Bette für alle, seine Edelkeit, für das Ausfallen bei allen, für da, ich gewinnt, der Jörg, Agikara mit sie, seine Edelkeit, und seine Gerockenkeit, in Kernes für Kinder, und es war Sachen, nicht so heute Platz reden. Rabbi Yankiv mit mir sein, was ich habe gesagt, das sind eine gute Bette, die Besicher bleiben im Reben in Ganeden, und das Ausbetten am Reben, für Kola Adas Achsidin, und so sein gesund, und Mischir soll kommen, die Kor Mamesh und alle tanzen zusammen und sehen, bei Mischir zu kommen.
My connection to Harav Schwei, Olav Shalom, goes back almost 50 years. And maybe to sum it up in one word, I would say he was like a father to me. I came from Montreal. I had no family here. I had no relatives here. And I came to learn in Yeshiva in Ocean Parkway. And he was my Rebbe. And he gave me a chayas in learning. And anything that I needed, he was always there for me. And over the years after that, he continuously was in touch with me. And when I became a chassan, and I was searching for an apartment where to live, I was looking at different apartments. And one day he asked me, Rachmiel, what are you doing about an apartment? So I said, I'm looking for apartments that are cheap in apartment buildings, etc. So he said to me, I have an empty apartment in my house. Why don't you come and look at it? So with my Kala, I went to see the apartment, and it was a beautiful apartment, 796 Montgomery Street. And we decided that it would be very, very comfortable for us to move in. But I said to Rabbi Schwei, I would like very much to move in, but the price of an apartment and a price of an apartment in an apartment building are much less. And he said to me, you're like my son. And for my son,
I would give it for the same price that it would cost an apartment building. So I was zeicher to live in the same house as Rabbi Schwei and his family for 8 years. And we were like one big family. This is the way he would treat us, mamish like we were his children. And throughout the years, we went to every one of his simchas. He came to every one of our simchas. And there was no question that he was a fatherly figure to me and my family. In fact, just 3 months ago, my son got married in Chicago, and for the Sheva Brachas, we made a big one here in New York. And he said for sure he's coming. Although he was already not feeling well, he was already older, he came to the Sheva Brachas. He spoke for 15 minutes. He stayed from the beginning until the end, over 2 hours. Now he could have left, just come in and just come out, go out, but he was there the whole time because he felt this is his mishpacha. So it was a big schus for me and my family to know Rabbi Schwei for, as I said before, over 50 years. And this is how he treated not only me and my family, but this is how he treated everybody around him as a fatherly figure, always there to help out, always there to make sure that whatever he can help, he was there to help. He'll be sorely missed by my family. He'll be sorely missed by all the people here in this community. And I'm sure he'll be a melitz yesher for us, for his family, for everybody who lives in Crown Heights, everybody that he was a Rav to. And I'm sure that this is what you're going to hear from other people also, the fatherly figure that he was. And we should have the schus that very, very soon he should be back with us. The coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mheiri Yemenu Mamash.
Rabbi Schwei was the epitome of a Chassidish Rav. There was one story where there was a bocher that was being held in a prison in a little place in upstate New York, and he was facing a 3-year prison sentence for trying to cross the border with a false passport. And I was asked to go and testify in court when his court date came up. The court date was set for Purim morning, and there was no way I could be there and back in order to take care of the things of my shul on Purim. So the only way it was possible was to take a small chartered plane early in the morning and go to the town in upstate New York, testify in court, and come right back. The night before, the pilot that I had hired called me and said he wasn't sure if the plane that he would be getting from the plane club would be a single engine or a double engine, and he needed to know the night before that I would fly with him no matter what, if it was single or double. I remember that there was a hira from the Rebbe not to fly on single engines, and so I called Reb Leibel Groner, and I told him the problem, and I asked him what to do. He said, there is such a hira. So I said, so what should I do? He said, call Harav. I called Rabbi Schwei and I told him the problem. And Rabbi Schwei listened and he said to me, du sollst fahren, gesundheit, du sollst matzliach sein. I said, what about the engines? He says, du hast schon 3 engines. I said, 3 engines, was etwas? He said, ein engine wird sicher sein. Ist doch an airplane. The zweite engine is Pidyon Shvuyim. Und the dritte engine is Achnosses Kala, darf chasnam. The next morning, Baruch Hashem, it was a double-engine plane. I flew, we testified in court, and the Bacha went home the very next day, got married the next week. And Baruch Hashem, he's a father of children. The second story with Rabbi Schwei is that I made a chasna of one of my children, and I asked Rabbi Schwei to come to be Mesadik Kiddushin. Rabbi Schwei traveled for over an hour. He came to be Mesadik Kiddushin. When he came into the Chabad house to do the chuppah, he met there Reb Hillel Pevsner from Paris, who was a surprise to all of us that he was able to make it to the chasana. As soon as he saw Reb Hillel Pevsner, Rabbi Schwei said to me, I am not being Mesadik Kiddushin, I'm not taking any kibbudim. Rabbi Pevsner is going to do it all. Rabbi Schwei came and traveled for more than an hour. He was the one that had the ksuva and the pencil and the pen. Rabbi Pevza did not. He gave it all over. And he refused to take any kibbudim under the chuppah. The third story is that there was a 3-day Yom Tov, it was a Shabbos, and the Yom Tov, and I got stuck. There was a bunch of incidents. I got stuck 11 miles away from my house. And I had to end up walking for 11 miles with a police escort. And after Yom Tov, there was a shaila by me, was I Eived Chum Shabbos or not? I wasn't sure, so I went to Crown Heights, I went to Rabbi Schwei's office, and I told Rabbi Schwei, ich bet a tikkun. Is a tikkun avos? I said, I'm not sure, but I think I was Eived Chum Shabbos. So he says to me, geh ahim. I said, was ist geh ahim? Ich bet a tikkun. He says, das allein du bist gekommen und gebeten a tikkun, geschehen dein tikkun vor Gesundheit und sei matzliach. Rabbi Schwei was a Chassidish Rav par excellence.
It's very painful for me to speak about the loss of Rabbi Schwei, but I did want to share some thoughts. As we all know, for the past 17 years, Rabbi Schwei devoted himself to the needs of the community as the Mara D'Asri of Crown Heights. The burden of the community was tremendous, and the Rav dedicated himself to it completely. Even when, in the last few years, he was hospitalized several times, his main concern while he was in the hospital was to access his phone and respond to the many messages and the requests and the shilas that people needed him for and were waiting for his counsel. In my years on the Varakol, I noted how each Rav had his own special talents and served the community in different ways. The Rebbe always emphasized that we should go to Chassidish Rav. I saw firsthand how important that was in Rabbi Schwei. Besides his Torah knowledge, Rabbi Schwei brought his knowledge of all the generations of the Lubavitcher Rebbeim in all of his ways and approaches to each shaila. I valued that perspective very much when I had questions and concerns that I had to ask him. As everyone knows, the Rav was especially talented in the way he dealt with people. He had tremendous patience, and he had a very rare talent of being able to listen. As many people have noted, he made each person feel that he was genuinely concerned about their issue, their problems, their situation. Many have even said that when they came to him and they cried in front of him, he would cry with them. His concern went so far that even after the person left, the Rav would continue to help the person, sometimes without them even being aware of it. I would often get calls when I was on the Vad, and the Rav was asking what resources we had to deal with whatever specific problem he was trying to help someone with. He even followed up with people, and even though they were surprised by it, he would call them after they came to him, asking about how they were doing. In brief, what the community has lost is priceless and very rare. I want to add something personal. I had the privilege of knowing Rabbi Schwei for many, many years, even before he joined the Beis Din. During that time, I was able to learn with him, to go to Farbrengens, and most importantly, to have him as a role model. Even the last few years when he was davening in Rainis Yeshiva on Shabbos, he periodically gave Farbrengens, and they were remarkable. The Rav had the tremendous ability to somehow speak to each one of his listeners such that they came away with their own personal message and their own personal inspiration. I personally feel that what I have lost is irreplaceable. May Harav Yaakov ben Mordechai Eliyahu be a good advocate for Klal Yisrael. May we continue to learn from his teachings and inspiration, and may his family and all of us be speedily united with the Rav when the Rebbe leads us to the Geula immediately.
Rabbi Schwei, went back many years ago, I was a Talmud the first year that he was Magid Shir, Toshen Chofei, the Shiva Tenchet Mimim in Bedford and Dean. Like all other Talmidim, remember, I felt when he would come over how it bothered him when someone was not paying attention or not looking in and so on. He felt bad. It helped us in a way to learn better. Also, for many years, I was able to spend with him in Gan Yisrael in Montreal. He was the camp rabbi, also taking care of learning classes. He had a very big chush tzir, many, many banners, posters that he made during the summer for color war. I hope they're still around. One of them stands out. This is on the Toshen Chavav Zayin, a big shofar, and the Rebbe is sitting in the shofar with a crown. It was like as Melech HaMashiach. This must be more recent. He wasn't feeling good in recent years. And when I was about to care for Tkiyas Mumid on the Bima 770, and Rabbi Schwei after Tkiyas would not go back to his place. It was hard for him to go through the Holoilam. So they had a little folding chair for him sitting on the Bima. And more than once, I remember somebody tapping me, and when I look, I turn around, there's Rabbi Schwei motioning to me that he'll stand up, he wants me to sit a little bit of rest. It is an unbelievable memory to me. Yehi Zechrei Baruch.
My name is Ben Zion Ben Yisrael Chanovich. I was a Talmud by Rabbi Schwei in Bedford and Dean, and I want to relate a story that happened to me. In the year that year when I was having my Yom Miledis, the Seder was that you had to get a Bechina before you went to Yechidus on your Yom Miledis. At that time, everyone was still, the Olam was smaller. You were able to go ahead and have a private Yechidus with the Rebbe. But because it was getting a little busier, I believe it was the year before that they instituted that you have to have a Bechina before you go to Yechidus. And your Rebbe, whoever your Rebbe was in Yeshiva, he would give you a Bechina, and then thereafter he would write a note which you would present to the Rebbe as well. The Seder was like this. You took the test, and then when you came to the night that you were going to go into Yechidus, somebody from the Anhela of the Yeshiva would come, and he would give you an envelope. So you had your envelope with your pidgin, and you had the envelope from the Yeshiva. When it came my time to go in, I knew that I didn't do well on the Bechina. So I was very nervous. And the truth is, so what was the Seder? The Seder was that the Rebbe would first open up the envelope from the Yeshiva and look to see what it is that the Rebbe, that your Rebbe wrote. Anyway, I thought, okay, the gig is up. The Rebbe is going to read there that I didn't do well in the Bechina, and he's going to go ahead and tell me off, and tell me chutzpah, you're a tamim, and you're not doing well in the yeshiva. Was tust du? Anyway, he didn't. He looked at it, he read it, whatever, and then he picked up my pidgin and he read my pidgin. And the truth is, in those days, people who were naive, they didn't know what was going on. What I had daigas? I didn't have any daigas, and if I did, I didn't know them. So whatever it is, he would give a bracha and a zayvaita, and I left. But I had that heaviness for years and years and years. What did Rabbi Schwei write in that letter? And either the Rebbe ignored it, or even with not looking at reading what it said in the letter, he knew already anyway. But what did he write there? So fast forward, I eventually, when I was married, I went and I lived in Flatbush. And actually, you know what? I wasn't in Rabbi Schwei's class in Bedford Dean. I was in Rabbi Schwei's class in Ocean Parkway. And I started to daven in Beis Menachem Mendel, which was at that time in Avenue H. And the Rav over there at the time was Rabbi Ginsburg, who was a son-in-law of Rabbi Schwei. And one Shabbos, Rabbi Schwei came for Shabbos, and it was by the Kiddush. I cornered him, and it's the hearts to him that I was always wondering, what did he write in the letter, because I didn't do in the Bechina. And his answer was to me, Ich hab allmal geschrieben gut. And you know what? A heaviness just rose from my head. And like I said, one less tiger to go on in the world. So I thank him very much. And his neshama is a aliyah. Have a good Shabbos. And everybody stay healthy and well and safe.
I am truly humbled and honored to have the opportunity to say a few words about Harav Schwei, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, at the end of his Shiva. Rabbi Schwei was my own personal Rav for many, many years. He was always so helpful, kind, and gentle, always approachable. His patience was legendary, and his smile was so comforting. I remember when I got involved with Ichke Shtibel, he was so encouraging, and he took me under his wing. I remember sitting in his office and speaking with him, and the phone would ring once, twice. He wouldn't answer, because now he was speaking with me. But if it rang a few more times, he would say, "Anschuldig," and he would pick up the phone. It might be very important. I wouldn't know who was on the other end of the phone, but I could hear his patience and his kindness. He always was willing to help wherever he possibly can. For if there's something we can incorporate in our lives to learn from Harav Schwei, is to have patience, kindness, and do what you can to try to help somebody else. You should be a Melitz Yesher, and certainly he has a lichtike Gan Eden, and he should be able to be a gute better for his family and for his community and for all of Klal Yisrael.
I'd like to say a few words in the honor of Rav Goren, Rabbi Aron Yaakov Schwei, Olav Shalom. But Poischem mit Vamalchus, I'll share a story from the Rebbe that I heard from him recently, the past few years. A Ruach HaKodesh story of the Rebbe. This happened with his son, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, who's now a shliach in England. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the story happened in Tovshin Chof Hei, 1965. His wife was at that time in the 9th month, and he came home one Shabbos after Shachris, and his wife told him that she has signs, she has simonim that looks like this is it. So he right away took his wife to the hospital, which was very close to their house, where Beis is now on Brooklyn and Lefferts. And he gave her over to the nurses, and then he told his wife, I'm going to go to 770, the Rebbe's coming out to Fabringen, and I'll go over right away and ask a bracha for that the delivery should be benakal, bekshura, should be easy. He came to the 70, the Rebbe came out for the Fabringen, right after Kiddush, he walked over to L'chaim, and he told the Rebbe these words, my Frau is jetzt in Spital, it's the Hotzi Kind, and he said the name and the mother's name. And he asked for bracha. The Rebbe answered one word, in a Lashon Bitmi, in a Lashon of question. The Rebbe said, Itzte. Then he just said L'chaim, and he didn't understand, but he waited till that end of Fabringen, and he rushed home for a minute just to chaper a little drink and something, go to see his wife in the hospital. But as soon as he came home, he saw his wife. She was home, and he asked her, "What's geschehen? What happened?" And his wife said, "Listen, I went to the hospital, the doctor checked me, and he told me, you could go back home, noch nicht, not yet." And then he understood what the Rebbe said, Itzte. Rabbi Schwei was a very unique person, and there's many more who know a lot more than I'm just going to share my couple of few interesting things that I observed over. Rabbi Schwei was the only teacher in Ocean Parkway who taught Sein Nigle, Mesifte Gimel, learning Gemara Shetoises and Mefarshim, and also he taught Chassidus at night. In addition to teaching us Nigla and Chassidus, he would tell us a lot of stories, Sipurim, and he tried constantly to build up a skashtus by us. So a few things, Lamoshel. Every Sunday, he would have a test on the chitas of the Pashash HaShavua. The chitas of Chumash we had to learn on our own, and everyone used to get a Beis Yehuda and to get the Yiddish teach and understand was frekt Rashi, was emphet Rashi. He used to verbring with us, tell us many Sipurim. He kocht sich halat wie shechazatanya balpeh. And after every verbringen, especially the big ones, say the Chassidus the next night was, everyone had to chaza over a word. What does he remember from the verbringen? What did he take out of verbringen? Chaza psasichitz of us. Rabbi Schwei will be missed by many. I just want to say that the many Rabbi Schwei was not only a Meira Hiroe in the Crown Heights community, many Shluchim and Balabatim from Shluchim, he would guide them, especially Shluchim who had mikvahs, and there were many shalas that would come up. Rabbi Schwei would always tell them, Ebe hat a shaila, send it over to me, FedEx, the next morning, or UPS. And he says, don't say a name, just write a number. And every time, I personally had we have a mikveh here, he would call exactly 10:30, he say, ich hab gesehen, this is the psak din, v'chulu. One of the things that stand out that we saw as a teacher by Rabbi Schwei was that in addition, he was a really Isha Shkoilis. He was a Gor in Otzum and Nigla the Torah. His brothers, Kisve Rabbi Isaac, he was the one who organized. He was a Yadin, a Groise Yadin Chassidus, in Sipuri Chassidim. But in addition to everything, Rabbi Schwei, Be'etzem, he had a genuine love for another Yid. It wasn't that, he didn't have to work on it. Poshet betivoy. Be'emes liebe gehad noch a Yid. I want to just conclude the one short thing. When he was our teacher, we never heard him scream. He would never get upset. Sehr gelassene, a ruhige. But one time, there was one bocher, there was a certain boy in the class or in the yeshiva that he was, we'll call him al-shtigl nebachul. Other boys used to pick on him. And Rabbi Schwei hated it. He couldn't understand. One time there was a bacha who did something wrong to this, it's not a good word to say, but this Nebach boy. And he did something not nice to him. And the other bacha was, this boy was crying. The only time in my life I remember Rabbi Schwei was so upset about this. He saw this bacha, and he went over to me and told, was hast du getan, das and das? The bacha tried to answer, and then all of a sudden, he gave the bacha a mamash, a good smack across his face. And while he did it, he was like choking and crying. He says, hast du kein Gefühl von noch a Yiden? Wie hast du getan, as er sagt, an der bacha? And you could see, it wasn't a patch from Gvura. It was Poshet, his outrage of his Abbas Yisrael. How could you do that to another Yid? How could you hurt another Yid's feeling? It's the only time I ever saw him, Poshet, explode with a upsetness. I wouldn't say anger, but he taught us a tremendous feeling of Abbas Yisrael. One time, just the last thing I'll say, well, I was a bach in camp, and it was a Fabrengen, Tu B'Ov, summertime. We rushed into to Fabrengen. So we arrived in Crown Heights, almost like 9 p.m. And Fabrengen is going to start 9:30. And the driver said, he's rushing home. He has to do something. He's leaving off in front of 770. Rabbi Schwei asked the driver, do me a favor, leave us off on Brooklyn and Eastern Parkway. On Albany Eastern Parkway. In those days, there was no, all the stores were closed, especially in the summertime by 7 o'clock. Rabbi Schwei told the Bachram he should wait a few minutes. He ran into used to be a bakery over there, and he came out with a whole bag of mezoinis, some danishes, and he gave us all like 1 or 2 danishes, and he said that it nicht gegessen kein Suppe, is ein hungrig, ich will es at Hände verbringen gut. She told us that we should eat something because we left camp like 5:36. But just the feeling that, we weren't even expecting it, how we thought of to take care of us. On the way back, after the Fabring, we drove back to camp. The whole time we were just chazering. It was a very special Fabringen then. Just to conclude, you see that Rabbi Schwei was a real Isha Shkoilis. He'll be sorely missed. He was a Meidike Balnigla, in Sayin Aloche, Sayin Shas, in Pilpul, Simon Hogim. He was a very big Bal Masape in Uchsidis. He used to teach us Negunim. And I just want to take this opportunity that Yehi Zichri Baruch, he should be good to is better for every one of us. And a bracha to his special wife, that she should have a richjom shel teves gesundheit, and a lot of nachas from the children, eneklach, nur eneklach, and he should be poyel lemaila to ask the Rebbe that we should have malkeinu b'rishenu, b'zgalus of Melech HaMashiach, take of miyad mamish, v'kitzu v'rananu sheikh neofor, and we should only have simchas and psuras teves.
Very hard to talk about the Rav B'Lashon Avar. The Rav was part and parcel of our Moisid in every big decision. The Rav was there to make sure every Talmud gets the best chinuch, to encourage even myself in certain decisions. And I want to share one specific episode which for me and for the whole Cheder was a tremendous hazaza and left a tremendous impact. And just now when we got together to have on the phone a special Erev Zikaron about the Rav and L'chaved, the Melamed Rabbi Schwei, his son, this event stood out in my mind. This past Hanukkah we made a Hanukkah oven, and we put on a very beautiful production about a story in Russia. And I was trying to find a Baal Mesiras Nefesh that was actually in Russia, and I was working on certain chassidim, and it didn't pan out. And then, naturally, I invited the Rav to begin the event and to give the Birkas HaBadatz and to bench the Kinderlach for the Freilich Hanukkah. And the Rav all of a sudden opened up and started describing his youth. And it hit me, why didn't I think of inviting the Rav for that? But the Rav instinctively, as a Mechanech, described how his mother, Rav Tzimbunya, sent him far away to Samarkand on his own. He was 7 or 8 years old, to join his older brother that was in Temple Tvimim there, was already learning. And he shared with the kinder how he got there, and at the end of the first day, his brother told him, you'll sleep on this table. All the Bachrim slept on the tables that they learned. And he summed up the amount of kids that were there, Bachrim that were there, and he said, 1 second, where are you going to sleep? Just not enough. Where did you sleep last night? So he said, ich bin geschlafen da, aber jetzt hast du da schlafen und wird sich Masada sein. And all of a sudden the Rav broke down crying. It was in the big Wingate High School, in front of the whole crowd of kinder and their parents and the guests, and said, Das heißt Limud HaTorah, Chassidische Limud HaTorah, of a boy, his older brother, Rabbi Isaac Schwei, that learned and gave up his bed at night, gave up his eating teg, his place of eating for his younger brother. He said, Das is a Chassidische Lernen. And he told the kinder, Azei zolter hadavin and Azei zolter wachsen. And I think this is a clear-cut example for the Rav himself of a Chassidische Rav. In addition to his Bekiyas and his Ga'inus, his Chassidishkeit and his Pashtus, his Amunah Tmima, and being Mechaya, anything that was connected to the Amunah Tahira and the Rebbe, in Moshiach, in Leben, the letzte Momenten von Goals, in der Heubene Weg. And the Rav is not only sorely going to be missed, the Rav is going to continue with us, and we take all his adrachas b'payel, and take it from Yad. We'll reunite with his Galus now.
My shaykhis to Rabbi Schwei began when we were Talmidim in Shir Gimel in Mesivta. He was our Magid Shir. Interestingly, the following year when we graduated to Zal, he was also promoted, and he was my Magid Shir for 2 years in a row. I want to share a vort, and I want to share a personal story. First, the vort. Rabbi Schwei was once talking to us about Emunah, Bitochen, as man darf sich verlassen auf den Ebersten. And he said, I remember he said like this, he said, when he was a little boy back in Russia, him and his friends would teach a pasuk. There's a pasuk we say every day in davening. Al tiftachu bin divim ve'nodem shein leitzua teitzei rucha yoshev la'ad mosei b'yemahu of the eshteneisav. As me muzach verlassen auf den Ebersten. So as children in Russia, they would teach like this. They would teach as me muzach verlassen auf den Ebersten. Und der, was verlässt sich auf Menschen, et sof kol sof verlieren die Hesen. Verlieren die Hesen is an expression in Yiddish, somebody gets into trouble. You'll get into trouble. Ey, me verlässt sich auf Menschen, et me verlieren die Hesen. See, in Russian, Hesen in Russian is shtani. Of du erstei neusov, verlieren die Hesen. Me muss sich verlassen auf den Ebersten. It was a very geschmackige word. I don't think anybody I don't think any of my friends remember it. I'm not sure how many people heard this word from him or remember this word from him, but it was a very geschmackige word. And in the last 30 years, I must have thought about this word bli guzma hundreds of times. Now the personal story. In those years, I used to do some posters, drawings when it came to Lag BaOmer parade, things like that. And I learned how to make the letters decently. I used to do all the letters properly. But there was one letter I couldn't get, an aleph. I couldn't get the aleph right. It's a very difficult letter to draw, and I couldn't get it right. I remember one time, Rabbi Schwei sat down next to me with a pencil and paper. Rabbi Schwei was an artist. I don't know how many people know this. Rabbi Schwei was an artist. He sat down next to me, and he started to teach me and to guide me. Früher darf man machen a Kästele, und später darf man machen a Steckele, und a See macht man, over and over again, until I was able to master the aleph. Mamish, like a father, would sit with a son till he got it right. I remember as it mishtag der Numen nen. Bichlal, Rabbi Schwei wasn't just a Magid Shir. He was I always looked at him as an alter chassidische mechanech. Not only in the way he cared about the Bachrim, but also in his own hanhoge, in his own hadroche, in his own his sprach, his chassidische meises. He would make a Melav Malke. In the winter, he would make a Melav Malke for us every Motzei Shabbos. He wasn't a mashpia. He wasn't a mechanech. He was a Magid Shir. But he would dedicate every Friday night to sit with in his house. He would make the Melav Malke in his house. Sometimes it was in some Talmidim's houses, but Mirge denkt sich that it was in his house. And he would, every Motzei Shabbos, he would make a Melav Malke. Tell us chassidische meises. So I looked at him. If I had to envision what an Amoliker chassidischer Magid Shir, what an Amoliker chassidischer mashpia looked like, that's the way I always envisioned it. Soll sein a guter Beter, Mishpache soll noch wissen von Simches, wie Kitze wir an Sheikh Ne Afor, wo Hube Seicham, and all those Wir sein weg in den befraten die letzte Tkufe, take of me ad mamish.
לאורך השבוע האחרון, כשדיברנו בין חברים על החוויות שלנו מהרב שווי בתור בחורים ב-770, כולנו דיברנו, שיתפנו את החוויה שהיה לנו מהרב שווי, שפשוט היה אוהב את התמימים. שהיה לו הסתכלות חיובית על התמימים. אנחנו תמיד הרגשנו איך שהוא נותן יחס מיוחד וחם, ומשקיע זמן לכל אחד, ומבין לליבנו, ועוד יותר, הוא היה אפילו רואה את המעלות המיוחדות של התמימים. היה לפעמים מתוועד על זה עם זקני החסידים, איך שצריך ללמוד מהאמונה החזקה של התמימים ברבה, שצריך ללמוד מהחיות החסידית שהתמימים חיים ומחיים בזה את כל הנש. ויש לנו מה ללמוד מהרב שווי בעניין הזה, שתמיד לדעת להסתכל, אפילו שיכול להיות כל מיני חסרונות, יכול להיות חוסר בגרות, חוסר חוכמה, לפעמים עושים כל מיני בעיות, אבל לדעת, לשים לב את החוש, לראות את הקדושה המיוחדת, את החיות המיוחדת, את המעלות המיוחדות שיש לכל אחד. מאותו מקום אפשר להגיד שהכוח המיוחד של הרב שווי בעניון משיח היה כוח של תומים. כולנו זוכרים את הסיומים שהרב שווי עשה בתשע סיומים, והרבה מהם זה היה סיום על מסכת זבוכים דווקא. אני תמיד אצלי נתפס שזה חסידי שחב, לעשות סיום על מסכת שמדברת על עניינים של קורבונס. בזמן האחרון חשבתי, הרב שווי בתור רב השכונה של מלך המשיח, ראה את תפקידו לא רק לתת הלכות לרגעים האחרונים של הגלות, אלא להיות מוכן לפסוק הלוכה בלישקס הגוזיס, בעניינים של קורבונס, בגאולה. אין לי ספק שתכף ומיד ברגע האיסגלוס באמת יבקשו ממנו, מהרב של השכונה של המלך, שעסק בעניינים האלה כל הזמן, שהוא יפסוק הלכות בדיני קורבונס. וגם בזה יש לנו עניין חזק ללמוד, שאנחנו מדברים על לחיות משיח בחיי היום-יום, להפוך את היום הפשוט שלנו, את ימי חייכו, לאהוב ולמויס המשיח, שזה יהיה יום גאולה. אז אנחנו יכולים פשוט להסתכל על התפקיד שלנו עכשיו, שאנחנו צריכים לעסוק בו בכל המרץ. לחשוב איך זה ייראה ברגע הבא של ימי המשיח, ואיך שזה ייראה בכזה מעמד ומצב להעמיד את עצמי עכשיו. אני מוכן להיסגלוס, אני מוכן לחיות ימי המשיח כבר עכשיו. לחיים ולברוכה, ושיהיה בפי על ממש גאולו אמיתס והשלימו.
Shalom Aleichem. I am extremely humbled to be addressing this gathering and speaking about such a giant. This is definitely befitting coming from the Parshas of Acharei Mos Kedoshim, because Rabbi Schwei was definitely a Kaddish. The emotions are still raw, and my mind is flooded with memories and different feelings, but I'm going to try to focus on a few short encounters that I had with Rabbi Schwei, which will Be'ez Hashem reflect at least a tipa shebayam on this Sar V'Gadol B'Yisrael. Throughout my years, I've connected with Rabbi Schwei on many, many different levels. First, as a Talmud, he was my Ram in Yeshiva, he taught us Nigla. And then, as a Rav who I would ask Shailas and confide in him on many different matters. And in every situation, I was able to feel his warmth and his care, at the same time also his devotion and his humility, where there was so much to learn from every single encounter. As a Talmud, I remember how he would call me over to his table very often and discuss with me mefarshim that he had not managed to bring up in the shir. And every time there would be a dvar chidush in what he was teaching, I remember how his voice would suddenly rise, his face would shine, would glow with excitement, as if he had just found a tremendous treasure. And this, I remember till today, this had made such an impression on me about the importance of Limud HaTorah and the excitement and the love for learning Torah. Later on, as a Rav, Whenever I would ask him shaylas or discuss a matter with him, I always felt as if I was the only thing that mattered for him at that moment. Once on Shmini Atzeres, I had a shayla for him after Shachris in 770. After discussing it with him, he told me that I should come back by Hakafis that night and he's going to have an answer for me. When I came to Hakafis, I couldn't find him. So I assumed he probably was not feeling well and couldn't make it. So late Hakafis in 770. And I was hoping that tomorrow, by Shachris, I'll find him and be able to get my answer. The next morning, after Shachris, Rabbi Schwei was looking for me. When he found me, he first apologized for not making it there, and he said he wasn't feeling well. But then at the same time was upset at me why I didn't come knock on his door, why didn't I come to his house and ask for the answer. I felt hesitant to come and ask something when I needed. Also, his family was of utmost importance for him. He would make time in his very busy schedule every 2-3 months to call me and discuss all his Eineklach with me. And Baruch Hashem, there were many of them. He would ask me questions about each one. And it was just amazing how he knew the Tchunas HaNefesh, how in touch, how in tune he was with each one of them. He never wanted me to tell them that he called. He wanted it to be something between me and him. But he was so caring and so dedicated. I wish parents would call me as often as he called me for grandchildren. There's Baruch Hashem so much to talk about, so many memories, so many encounters, but we're very, very pressed on time. So I want to end off with one story where we see the amazing siyata d'shmaya that Rabbi Schwei had. There were certain areas where I took upon myself that no matter what happens, if there's a shayla, I'm always going to ask the Rav. Even if it's a shayla that I already had once, even if it's something that I already knew, I always ask the Rav for a shayla. So one time there was a certain shayla. I called up Rabbi Schwei and I discussed with him the shayla. And at the end of the discussion, he told me that the situation is mutter. A couple of months later, the same shayla came up. I called up Rabbi Schwei again, discussed with him. The scenario was exactly the same. I discussed with him the shayla, and he tells me it's usr. So I tell him, but Rabbi Schwei, a couple of months ago, we discussed the exact same scenario, and he said it was mutter. So he tells me, I don't remember what happened a couple of months ago, but right now, the shayla that you're telling me, I don't see how it could be mutter. It's usr. So I said, fine. The Rav said, I accepted. 2 days later, something came up, and we realized how this situation was different than the situation that happened a couple of months earlier. But at the time when I made the phone call, there was no way, there was absolutely nothing different between the first one and the second one. If not for his siyata d'shmaya, there would have been no way there would have been a right answer in one of the two cases. This just brings out the greatness of Rabbi Schwei. And I think throughout these stories, each one of them brings out a different tchuna, a different specialty in Rabbi Schwei's greatness, and so much that we can take to heart to learn, whether it's to be caring about another person, being dedicated to help another person, caring about the chinuch of your own children and grandchildren, or just the general looking up to him as a role model of something special and holy to learn from. There's Baruch Hashem a lot to take. And the ikar is that Be'ez Hashem we should already have the Geula Amitis Vashlema. We'll have the Izgalus of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. And then there will be the Kitzav Aron Sheikh Le'afar. And Rabbi Schwei B'Seicham U'V'Roisham. The Geula Amitis Vashlema take it from Yad Mamash.
When I first started working at Chovevei Torah, Rabbi Schwei had already been working for the yeshiva for many, many years. I was just a newcomer yet he treated me almost like an equal. Over the years, I saw Rabbi Schwei in action, and he treated everyone the same. He acted humble towards everyone. He treated everyone as if they were very important, and everything they had to say was important. He answered their questions with his full attention, with warmth, and a lot of patience. Just a short time before Purim, I went to his office and I invited him to be Masada Kedushin for my daughter's upcoming wedding. He agreed with his usual warmth and wrote it on his calendar. So I'm still expecting him to be there together with the scholars of the Rebbe, taking them Yad Mamash.
As grandchildren, we were zeicher to see many, many things about my grandfather that were messages in serving Hashem and eskashas to the Rebbe. I'm just going to share a few short memories that made a deep impression on me, and I'm sure V'chayit and Aliba, we can all learn from them and grow in our own avodas Hashem to emulate these ideas. One thing that comes to mind is his deep love and connection for 770. This was expressed with his immense desire to be there, even taking Ad K'dei Mesiras Nefesh. It was definitely hard walking and other sort of things that he did despite the difficulties, because he was connected so much and he felt so strongly about being there. This makes a deep impression on me. I remember I was once with him in the hospital, Hishayne Rabbah, and he was saying Tehillim, and then I put on 770 Live on my laptop, and when he saw it and he heard, and he was like, oh, it says 770, it was a huge simcha and a whole new chayis in saying Tehillim. Another area that I remember was his meticulousness in Shulchan Aruch. In the hospital, always careful about netilas yadayim, washing his hands properly, and birchas hanenin. He once asked me he was hungry, he asked me to bring him something from Bikur Chaylim. I brought back a sandwich, and he looked at it and he asked me to put it back, even though he really wanted it. But Shulchan Aruch comes first, and it was complicating birchas hanenin, so he didn't want to eat it. Very recently, when he was in the hospital now, on Chol Hamoed, he called my aunt from the hospital with three requests. Number one is she should ask the nurse to please close the bathroom door. He wants to daven maitiv. Second, that the nurse should bring him to be able to make Revi'as Yayin, it's Chol Hamoed. And third of all, he asked that my aunt should call him back later that evening to Seil Sfira. He wanted to make sure to remember and count properly. And even during these trying times, this was on his mind, making sure to keep Shulchan Aruch. Another area is a Simcha Shel Mitzvah. His joy when being able to be Mekayim a Mitzvah was tremendous and very, very vivid. I recall being in the hospital with him on Sukkot, and there was a sukkah in the hospital, but I had to figure out a way how to get there accessible to him, and there was a whole maze, but we brought him there, and when he came in, he was so overwhelmed with joy. He took a few minutes just looking at the walls, looking at the schach, akasha sukkah, mekemachana bracha leish sukkah, and his shechiyanu then was we heard every word. It permeated. We felt the taich of the words, even though he was just saying the bracha. Another incident I remember, we walked with him we walked the Enoklach together to the hospital to make a minyan for him, Kiryas HaTorah and Hakafis on Simchas Torah. And when we came, it was a surprise for him, but the joy that he had being able to do the Hakafis and do Kiryas HaTorah in the hospital, the joy was tremendous. He benched us all that we should have Enoklach to bring us as much joy as brought him. This just shows how much joy he had from being able to become a mitzvah. When he was younger, I don't recall the details accurately. Hopefully very soon we'll be able to confirm them with him. But he was hospitalized for an extended period of time. I'm not sure if it was during that stay or after that stay. He wrote to the Rebbe about it, and he included that he was able to do a lot of tefillin with people. The Rebbe wrote back, he got, and then the Rebbe made an arrow to the words that he wrote hospital. So I also remember being with him, and when nurses came and aides came and he had to do exercise with them, He was always speaking to them about Eibishter, teaching them Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noyach. Also, in the hospital, I once offered him an iPod to listen to Fabrengen while doing physical therapy, and he said, this was my Zayda, always careful about not wasting time, learning Torah wherever he is, always with Kevetz Limud, learning Chitas Rambam, making sure to finish the Shiurim on time. And when he was done the Shiurim, he always had Shulchan Aruch, if it was Pesach time or Tishrei time, Chele Gimel or Dalid, learning the halachas that were negeya to that time, and making sure to be serving Hashem no matter what. I just want to end up with a thought that Miyadeim Leis Kazais, hopefully the reason why he's in Shemayim is to paskin there, that it's about time for this galus to happen. May we be reunited with him, with his galus of the Rebbe, take it from Yad Mamash.
כשמדברים על הרב שווי, בטח הזכירו ויזכירו הרבה עניינים באישיות המיוחדת של חוסיד, ירא שמיים ולמדון, שהייתה ועדיין ניכרת מהדמות שלו. אבל אחד הדברים שצריכים להזכיר ולדבר עליו, דבר שהורגש אצל כל אחד שהיה בסלסמתי בשנים האחרונות, ובפרט אצל תלמידי התמימים. וזה היחס המיוחד, החם והלבבי והמחנך של הרב שווי לתלמידי התמימים. החיבה, הדאגה, האכפתיות שלו לחנך ולהתייחס בסבר פונים יופס, בלבביות, בחמימות, לתומים, הייתה לשם דבר. ולכן, השנה בחודש תשרי, החלטנו להגיע יחד עם תלמידי התמימים של הישיבה גדל לובביץ' בבית שמש, לרב שווי להתוועד איתו. ביקשנו מהרב שווי שנוכל להגיע לביתו, וזה היה מופלא לראות שבחודש תשרי עם כל העומס וההטרדות והשאלות שראינו שכשנכנסנו לבית שלו וכשיצאנו מהבית שלו הוא היה עסוק בשאלות הלוך וחזור. הוא פתח את הבית שלו הפרטי לתלמידי התמימים והזמין אותנו להתוועדות אצלו בבית. הפברנגן, עצם הפברנגן הזה גרם להתפעלות עצומה והשאיר רושם בל יימחה אצל הבחורים. אני אציין פרט אחד שהוא אמר, שמראה א' עד כמה מדובר על חסידי שרוב, על חסידי של עמדן, ועל חוסיד שהרבא נמצא אצלו בראש ובלב, והוא מקרין אותו הלאה. הוא סיפר אז בפברנגן, שכשהוא היה מורה, פעם אחת הוא דיבר עם אחד מהתלמידים שלו, והוא אמר לו, לאותו תלמיד, שכשמתפללים צריכים לזכור שכל מילה זה כמו קורבן לקדוש ברוך הוא. כי התפילה זה במוקם הקורבונס, וכל מילה זה כמו קורבן. וכמו שקורבן צריך להיות שלם ולא בעל מום, כך כל מילה בתפילה צריכה להיות שלמה, גם להגיד אותה בצורה שלמה, וגם לכוון. כי אם המילה לא שלמה, זה כמו קורבן שהוא בעל מום. ואם המילה היא בלי חיוס, זה כמו בהמה שהיא מתה. היא בלי חיוס. והרב שווי מספר שאחרי תקופה מגיע אליו אותו בחור, והוא אומר לו שהיה ביחידס אצל הרב. והרב ביחידס אמר לו את אותם דברים שהרב שווי אמר לו על התפילה. והרב ביחידס שואל את אותו בחור, האם שמעת את זה פעם? אז אותו בחור אומר לו, כן, שמעתי את זה. הרב שאל אותו, ממי שמעת את זה? אז הוא אמר לרב שהוא שמע את זה מהרב שווי. זהו. אז הרב שווי אמר שהוא ברוך השם הוא זכה לכוון למה שהרבי אמר לאותו בחור ביחידס. אבל מה שהיה ניכר מהפברנגן, ומה שתמיד היה ניכר מהרב שווי, וזה מה שהשאיר רושם בל יימחה אצל התמימים, שיש חסידי שרוב, וכפי שמספרים, שאחד המניעים של הרב שווי לקחת את הרבונוס בשכונה, זה כדי לא רק להיות רב, אלא כדי להעמיד חסידי של רבונים. וחסידי של רבונים זה אומר רבנים, למדנים, אבל שבראש ובראשונה חיים את הרבה ואת החסידס. ואני יכול להעיד שאצל התמימים שהיו אצלו בפברנגן, וכל התמימים שהיו אצלו בקשר, יודעים וראו מהי דמות של החסידישה רוב. דבר ראשון חסידישה, ואחרי זה רוב. דבר ראשון חוסית של הרב מלך המשיח, שחי רב מלך המשיח, ועם זה הוא נהיה רוב, הוא מנהיג קהילה, והוא מונח בלימוד, והוא בקיא בלימוד. וזה הרב שווי של תלמידי התמימים. הרב שווי שהעמיד תמימים, חסידישה רבונים, חסידים של הרב מלך המשיח.
Gudvach. My name is Yisrael Gazinski. I'll just share 2 points that come to mind. Number one, I remember a few weeks after I started the Zal, Rabbi Schwei was Mashgiach in the afternoon, and one afternoon we were playing ball by the break, and me and some friends, we came a little late. And when Rabbi Schwei came over to me and talked to me after, he started to give me a bunch of excuses. Like he was suggesting for me, like maybe you probably had a stomach ache, or you were tired, or you had a headache, and it was like so different than the mashgichim we were used to. Usually they would go around and they would start showing you. You calculate all the other times. You show you how late you are, how often, and here he was like uplifting. He was like saying, "I think of you as somebody who's like, you come on time, and this must be you have a special reason." And after that, it was so hard to come late. And another point, I remember very often walking with him down Albany. We would go to his house, and we'd go walk with him sometimes. He would always find a way to go over the Gemara about Peh. He would just start talking about it. So what did Rav Huna say, and what did the Gemara comment on this, and what did they add? What question did they add? And we would find a way to like talk about the Gemara consistently, like many times. I remember doing that, walking down Albany. He was a very special person.
Rabbi Schwei, he was a teacher, Magachir, in Yeshiva, in the Lubavitcher Yeshiva, in Bedford and Dean. This is where I had him for a Magachir for a whole year, learning Gemara, learning Chumash, Chitas, and Chassidus. And basically, the impressions that are left with me from then were in various inyanim. B'negiat the inyan of limud Gemara, he learned with us Gemara, he learned with us the Mefarshim that were applicable at that level. B'negiat Chitas, he really instilled in us a feeling of learning Chitas the right way. Every Sunday morning there was a test on Chumash and Rasha of the previous Parsha. And we prepared for it. The pastors, we knew it wasn't a surprise. And it really gave us an insight, when I'm thinking about it now, the inyan of learning Chitas every day. So this was a test, Pashit, to make sure that we learned it, and we know it, and we remember it. B'negiat inyan Chassidus, I think he was teaching us Tanya. So basically, he really taught us the hashkafa of Chassidus, the inyan of a chassid, the inyan of iskafia, the darkei Chassidus, which he instilled in us, and he was Pasha de Mashpia in the class on that level. When it came to inyanim of arguments between people, he would always be the one to try to convince both to push it, to connect to each other, to relate to each other. The inyan of Shalom, Eisha Shalom. His inyan was always talking in a very varama way to both sides, and that's how we would mamish dissolve issues that went on between Bacharim, especially at that age, which was quite often, especially in Yeshiva, ganzen Tag. So this was basically b'negiat of this inyan. Now, on a family relationship, Rabbi Schwei was very close with my father. I mean, they knew each other already. My father was a doctor in the community, and doctor also by the Rebbe. So B'meila and Chassidim were Pashit turned to my father whether there were any medical issues, were there any inyanim. And it's interesting how he cherished, Rabbi Schwei cherished Avort von Lernen, Avort von Teira, Avort von Chazal. And it was once that he tells me that when my father came once to visit them, Rabbi Schwei showed him that in the yard there was a fig tree, a date tree. So he said, this is Ish Tachas Gafni V'Tachas Teinosek. And Rabbi Schwei reminded me, told me, he says, this is what I heard from your father. You know, he was like speaking about my father. But the Pil Mamish, it shows Pashit what was the priority in the mind of Rabbi Schwei, Yonim from Teira, Yonim from Mitzvahs, and Yonim from Chassidus. Mentioning Benegir family on a family relationship, he participated in different events that took place by us. I remember it was once after the Shiva or Shleishim from my father, something that was connected. Benegir my father, Rabbi Schwei came, and he spoke. And it could even be Benegir to my mother, which was in Tafshin Samachalaf, that Rabbi Schwei was already busy with the Koholisha work, community work. Still, he found time to come and speak, spend time there. It was Pashit like a devotion. Each person was by him a world for itself. Pashit ha'elam mali. And this he really showed in how he related to every individual person. Mentioning Kana Makim, the Bodel L'chaim Tevim Varuchim, Mrs. Schwei, Rabbani Schwei, how she also was very close with my mother. Oleh Hashalim, it was whenever, as my mother was getting older and weaker, and since there was a friendship that kept up already from earlier years, she would come, bring food, spend time with my mother, visit her. There was a relationship there, which was something that you can't compare to other relationships. Very, very close and dear, and my mother appreciated very much this friendship, which was a benefit for my mother, of course. It was in the older years, and all in all, I could say that Rabbi Schwei und soll sein gesund is Rebbetzin is Inyan from Tevla Shamayim Betevla Bries. They related to every person individually, and versteht sich Tevla Shamayim, Obgehitene Yiden and Yerushamayim and Hafotzes Hamayones, Hafotzes Hayadus. The Fabrengens Rabbi Schwei had with us also gave us Hashkofa, Benegir to how Chassidische Bochum should be raised. Kaponim soll sein, Vakitze V'ran Sheikh Niyofar, V'hu B'Seicha.
I know Rabbi Yankiv when he was a young bocher. He's not much older than I, a couple of years. And he was in Brunois. In Brunois, he was known as a very quiet and serious boy, bocher. Throughout the time that I knew Rabbi Yankiv, I can say one thing. The outstanding feature that was spoke for itself by him is his Yirah Shamayim. That was definitely a constant with him. You could not hear a loud word from him ever. Always spoke in what one may call a whisper. He was not really whispering, it's just that his voice was very soft and pleasant. And the only thing that he engaged in discussing was things that we learned in Yeshiva. This was Yankiv. The one thing that I would say, people who knew Bichlal, the story of our going through from Tashkent, from Russia, all the way through France and through Brunois, and then up to coming to America. It's a fantastic story. And this story had many, many challenges. And to maintain a pleasant disposition and been able to conjure up a smile under these circumstances required tremendous character power. The way I remember it, I said Yankee was a little bit older than I, and we were not in the same cheder, in the same group. But what I remember is that he was semi-masmid, one could say. Was always busy learning, and he was very approachable. As a younger man, I was able to, if I wanted to ask something, discuss with him, I didn't have to contemplate. I would just approach him, and he was always responsive to anyone who would approach him for a question. Even though the age difference between us was very small, nonetheless, I had what to discuss with him, and he was always responsive, always very accepted, very pleasant to be with. And he would not shy away from any questions that were presented to him. And people came away with great reinforcement, great encouragement from talking to him. And we have to encourage all our young people to utilize and to go in that direction.
On the pasuk, Moshe Hayareya saying Yisrael, says that Moshe Rabbeinu was tested by the Eibishter if he's fit of being the true Rei Neman, the Rei Yisrael, by this incident that took place where one of the little Seb Surah ran away from the whole flock, and it ran, and Moshe Rabbeinu followed it, running afterward, and seeing it run to a pond of water and drinking water because of red thirst. Moshe Rabbeinu was assisting it in its drinking and lifted it and carried it back to the rest of the flock. And with all his caring that Moshe Rabbeinu displayed is what determined that the Eibishter said that he was fit to be the real Rei Neman, Rei Yisrael. This is probably of the most appropriate illustrations of the Rabbanus and the behavior of Aron Rabbi Schwei, how he treated and he felt the needs of anybody of the community, whoever crossed his path, whatever was needed. He was always with the utmost respect and placing significance to their needs, never minimizing their concerns, always sympathizing with it. And it was illustrated in everything. If it comes to mind, once sitting at his house late at night, it was after 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was someone at the door. All of a sudden, just knocked at the door, and Rabbi Schwei himself went to actually open the door, making sure that the person wouldn't feel uncomfortable. And he come around, so with such caring, such hearts. And he walked inside, and it's like his Rebbetzin, it's like something stark. She would offer him a tea, and he would sit down, nach the Toyskin. It was awesome to see the kindness that was displayed and the caring that anybody and anything that came to them, gathered across the path, always would be made to be felt as the most important thing that he had to do at this moment, and really your needs were his needs, and this is something that is greatly this is really what the Eibishter tested Moshe Rabbeinu with this. So how much more this is significant for us, his caring, and Eibishter helped from us. The Kitzeran, the Sheikh Ne'ofer, and the Zana, der Lehrer the Better, who is better alles gut, who is better the Golu Shleima, and the Zenach, and the Rebbe.
Seeing and hearing and experiencing all these stories of Harav Schwei, we truly see a chassid that says Hineni. When the Eibishter turns to Avram and asks him, Kachnas binchas yichitcha, what is Avram's response? Hineni, here I am. Harav Schwei was a yid of Hineni, that I'm always here to do whatever the Avedas Hashem is required. Whether it was to speak in a Farbrengen in 770, curing and building the Kehillah, the Bezdin, that the Meistis in the Shchuna should be in a proper way, helping Shluchim around the world, that the Yonei Shchuna should be under the Rabbani Shchuna and the Bezdin of the Shchuna, building up the Bezdin of the Shchuna. A specific chayis, an excitement Harav Schwei had, was a kachan in Yonei Gula Mashiach. There's a wafar to one of the Rabbeim. He saw a certain chassid, he said, an alte chassid, a younger chassid, shein tzukukin. Harav Schwei was on one hand the alte chassid, he brought the days of all the Chassidic Chabad, the Varmkeit, the Reichkeit of Chassidus Chabad, of all the generations, and he was a younger chassid, kochen sich in the Yonim of the Rebbe of Deir Shvi. He had a unique and special koch and chayis in Yonei Gula Mashiach. Lebi mit Mashiach kipshutei. When someone asked him, was macht ihr? His natural response was, a tog nentet to Mashiach. That's what his life was, what the Rebbe wants. Kol yimei chayecha lehavi l'meisa Mashiach. Lebi mit Mashiach. This was not only in a general way, it was in a specific way. When he met people, with his family, when he spoke by Farbrengens, it was always a special koch and chayis with Mashiach and Yoni Mashiach. And also about the Rebbe being Mashiach. I heard from my great uncle at Rabbi Machkin soll sein gesund. That Harav Schwei, one of his capacities in his job, so to say, was being camp rabbing on Yisrael Montreal. And he had a great talent of Chushat Tziyur, able to bring out in Yonim of Torah, Yerushalayim, Chassidus, through drawing. And he used to draw different banners. At one point, one year he drew a banner of the 13 Ani Mamins, Yidgimel Ikri Amuna. And it came to the Ani Mamin Bevias HaMashiach, he made a drawing of the Rebbe on a donkey. At that time, one of the sichas of the Rebbe about Ani V'Reicher Al Chamer, the Mashiach, is Ani V'Reicher Al Chamer, came out. So this is what we left with them. This was his living with. So he made a picture of the Rebbe on a donkey. After camp, Rav Mashke soll sein gesund sent in the pictures to the Rebbe, and he was wondering what's going to be the response. And Rav Chadakov, Alav Shalom, came out from the Rebbe with a smile. The Rebbe said, "Aber medavas nicht mehr farsim sein." So this is going back 60 years ago. Already then he had his chayis and koch, like all Chassidim, the fact that the Rebbe is Mashiach. Later years, when the Rebbe himself put us into the Sichis, Mashiach Menachem Shemoi, the Rebbe being ma'ided in the singing of Yechi, you saw the Chayis of Harav Schwei and these Yonim like a young Chassid. Like the Rebbe once said, that most of my Chassidim are young Chassidim. The Rebbe was Miyasid Tziri Agudas Chabad, Lubavitch Youth Organization. And this Chayis was with such Pnimius and Amitis, with the Lachluchis and Varmkeit and Koch, of an Elter Chassid bringing together an Alte Chassid, a younger Chassid, Shein Tzukukin. When Harav Schwei said Yechi, we saw the Varmkeit and Emiskkeit of how he's saying Yechi, that everyone accepted it. When we're gathering here together and we ask, Admasai, 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 we ask the Eibishter, Yemer L'Tzariseinu Dai, Genug, of the suffering of Am Yisrael, and Bnei Yisrael, and Chassidic Chabad Mimyuchad, and Teishin Shchunas Crown Heights. We have enough of suffering. We should have the Geula Amitis Vashlema, and we should take the Achayit and the Living from Harav Schwei to live with Mashiach, Kochen sich in Mashiach. Like the Rebbe said, in the Slicha Parashat Tazriyim Etzera Tavshin Nun Aleph, which is a Siyam HaShiva of Harav Schwei, the Sfira of Malchus Shebi Tiferes. The Tiferes, as we said earlier, is Torah. Malchus Shebi Tiferes is Torah of Mashiach. Through Limud in Yoni Geula Mashiach, learning the Torah about Mashiach, this brings us a chayis that we should be able to live with Mashiach, like Harav Schwei lived with Mashiach, and we should not only live with Mashiach now through Aveda, and living with Mashiach is also through Avas Yisrael and Achdus Yisrael, but we should live with Mashiach Kipshutei, Lamata Masar Tfachim, it is Galus of the Rebbe, it should be taken from a Yad Mamish. We'll now continue the Chassidish of Abringen through Zoom.